Hey gamers, and welcome to another RGM podcast. Today we have quite a few topics on the table for discussion, so be sure to put your thoughts in the live chat along with your questions. Plus, we also have 15 game codes to give away. We decided it was time to clean out our storage locker and put these games to good use, so stick around for your chance to win throughout the podcast. But before we get going, let's introduce today's panel. I'm sure by now you all know me. I'm Bella Ryse, the editor-in-chief at RGM. We have Julius Malco joining us once again, one of the directors of RGM.
Hey, what's going on?
I love the enthusiasm. Up next, we have our resident funny man, Mr. Anthony Ascue.
Hey guys, my name's Anthony Ascue. I'm here to talk about abortions.
I think my soul just died a little bit.
Was that not it? Is that not on the panel? We're not discussing that?
No, that's a different podcast.
That was not on the agenda.
All right,
Definitely a different podcast.
I'll restart. Hey guys, my name's Anthony Ascue. Blacks. What do we really know about them? All this and more, RGM.
I can't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth right now. You were literally trying to, oh my God. Let's move right along. Joining us.
Hey guys, my name's Anthony Ascue. Asian midgets. Is it redundant to call them little people? All this and more, RGM.
Stop. I'm going to strangle you at the end of this podcast. Like I'm literally going to get on a plane. I'm going to fly to Canada and I'm going to strangle you.
Vote Trump.
Moving along, we have Mr. Christian Allen.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Yeah. Oh. Where do I even go from there? Okay, so today's topic for conversation that we're going to get going with to begin with is Major Nelson speaks out about exclusive content and why Sony seems to have more content. So I assume you guys have all, are across this. What do you think about him coming out and making a statement like that?
I think it's bullshit because for years, Microsoft had exclusive content, and we've seen it go back and forth between Sony and Microsoft. So I think really from a business perspective, the companies make deals where they think they're going to get the best rate of return. Mm. So Larry mentions, do we write checks for exclusive DLC, or do we take that money and create an Elite controller, or spend it on the Xbox One S development, or buy 4K Blu-ray drives for this console? So little column A, little column B. Content's always good. I enjoyed getting content when it comes out first. I'm usually an early adopter when it comes to those sort of things. I buy season passes for Battlefield and Call of Duty. But really, at the end of the day, there's so much content in the base game itself. Some people may not agree with that, but I think the base games itself have enough replayability that when the content eventually comes around, then who cares when it came out, really?
Yeah. I mean, I was particularly perplexed by one part of his statement where he says that they, being Sony, just decided to write a lot of checks, from what I understand.
That's a lot of, wow.
He came in swinging.
Yep.
Yeah, that was super passive aggressive.
Yeah. It really was. I couldn't believe it. It's just, they've got a big bankroll and they're just like writing checks and chucking them at people. Just give us all your exclusive content. Don't worry about making peripherals. Just get all the content. And you know why they do that? Because the content gets the gamers playing games on their console.
Exactly.
People will get, like, if you have both, right? Particularly in the instance of having both an Xbox and a PlayStation 4, if you own both and there's a game that you really love and you're going to get 3 months early access to a particular game on it, or, in the instance of Destiny, sometimes up to 12 months early access in some of the content. I mean, what console are you going to buy for? Obviously, the one with the early access. It makes more sense. You're not going to go, well, I'm going to buy that game on the Xbox because I can play that with my Elite controller.
No.
Particularly when If you know that flash with cash that you've got all these consoles and an Elite controller, you can buy an adapter that allows you to use your Elite controller on the PlayStation 4.
Exactly. But what it really does is it divides the gaming community, because then you have one game on 2 platforms, and half of the content's available earlier than the other one. So it's like you have other gamers feeling like they're less entitled than another platform.
Well, that's right, because we both fork over, like over here, a AAA is going to set you back $99 just for the standard base. So, you know, you fork over your $99, whether it be for the Xbox One version or the PlayStation 4 version, you're paying the exact same amount, yet on instances like Call of Duty is a perfect one with the 3 months early access for the DLC, 30 days early access, whatever it is. You're getting less, like slightly less of a service than the person playing it on the Xbox. And I don't think that that's fair. If you're playing the same amount of money, you should be getting the same content at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, 30 days isn't bad, but when you've got like a whole year's worth of DLC, that's really, that's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, from a development standpoint, sometimes like the 30-day windows and things like that can just be, a deployment and development issue where it's just easier instead of trying to co-launch the content. You wrap one up and get it out the door, and then focus your QA on the second platform.
Yeah, wasn't that like the excuse they had before? Like, whatever X platforms, Elite platforms, so we're gonna release the content on that and then release it on the other one later on.
Well, it can be an excuse and it can be real life too. On the 360 on GRA, obviously the PlayStation 3 launched later, but when we were doing the DLC packs, we had our Shanghai team we made the content, and we were focused on the 360 in the US, and then we would ship the content over to Shanghai for them to integrate it into the PS4. The PlayStation 3, and then they'd send it back to us to QA, whereas we had already QA'd the Xbox stuff. Now there was still some marketing pro quo, because a lot of the times these shorter deals aren't necessarily about getting a check, but getting free marketing from the first party. So like with GRA, we did a lot of we get X million dollars worth of free marketing because we're in their launch materials and on their when they put up their commercials and talk about the game.
Okay, so let's say what would you consider be like a fair medium? Because clearly either Xbox or Sony, if they had a chance to, take an advantage over their competition over the same game, right? Not their exclusive, but a third-party game that's for both consoles. If they're going to have their advantage, whether it be, exclusive DLC skins or maps or characters or earlier access to the game, what's a fair medium? Because from a business standpoint, this makes total sense. If I was Sony, I would do everything in my power to screw over Microsoft, and vice versa if I was Microsoft, right? As a gamer, it sucks, sure. But who cares about them, right? They're going to buy games anyways.
Exactly.
So the big question is, who are they buying games for? So what's a fair medium?
I mean, it depends. It also depends a lot on the life cycle of the product. I mean, exclusive is way more important at around launch time of a console. Because if you could nail the really strong exclusive games, even if it's for 6 months, that can really affect things.
Wasn't there talk a little while ago about consoles doing like a 1 year lifespan, like cell phones, and there'd just be various little updates to the console? Weren't they throwing that around? They haven't completely tossed it out yet.
And they also said we were going to be playing purely off the cloud by now. So
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Christopher in the live chat actually just put up a good point about how the fact it doesn't really actually help the appeal of crossplay either when you have games on both consoles and there's exclusive content that you can only access on one console.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm not for timed exclusive content. I don't agree in the practice of it, and I think that it's just a really dirty way of drumming up more sales.
I mean, gaming is a dirty business. Yeah, because you have two systems that literally release and market and profit share off the same titles, right?
Yeah.
The only difference is obviously one community is different from the other community, and they're exclusives and this and this. So it's just they're making money. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, whatever, maybe, probably not, Sony, Microsoft, off the same titles. So they're going to try to find an advantage over one or another. Otherwise, it's too up in the air.
Yeah, nope. I understand that they do have to have something that's going to be more appealing on their console than the other console. I think maybe that's why we get so excited when we see exclusive games being released on one particular platform. And that's where the appeal should come from, though. Like, I don't think that forcing people effectively, if you really love a game and you really want to play that content, that you have to switch to a different platform to be able to play it.
Yeah, but I think the only way that's going to not happen or not change is consumers not buying into it, I guess. I mean, if it makes sense from a business perspective, and it as from a developer standpoint, it's like it's usually the motivation to make that content is like, oh, I'm getting this deal from Microsoft, or I'm getting this deal from Sony, so it helps support the project and support the studio. Even if sometimes, I think we saw with Bethesda recently really wanting to try to do parity with bringing mods to the platforms. And what a pain in the butt that must have been for them. And even some backlash against the Bethesda themselves.
Yeah, very true. Very true. There's no getting around it. It's always going to happen. This is something that we're just going to have to deal with from here on in, is knowing that there's always going to be console-specific exclusive content, and you're just going to have to pick where do you want to play it more. What's more important to you, playing with
I'm
your
okay with that
or...
for. I'm okay with that for like if Sony Studios and Microsoft Studios release titles. I'm okay with those being exclusive, right? But I always kind of get irked when I see like third-party games from developers that have no direct allegiance to either Sony or Microsoft make exclusive titles for them. That's one of the things that always kind of irked me. I always believe, like, for sure, if you're Sony and you're making your first party games, they're going to be yours. Uncharted is going to be yours. For Microsoft, it's going to be Halo. I get it. There's always going to be those games that are their games. But the third party developers, I always feel, should be free agents. They shouldn't be monopolized and put into a market where they have to, pick one console per game. Like I kind of get irked by that, but I understand from a business standpoint it makes sense. Like, it's the logical thing to do. You go with the highest bidder, right? Always. So if you're getting X amount of money that's extra from Sony over Microsoft to be exclusive, as a developer, as shareholders, as everything, like I want the extra money. So like it makes sense. Like that's the vicious cycle, right?
Well, and also sometimes it's not just about the money. Sometimes it's about seeing if there's a market for it, right? Like if you look at Just Dance, Just Dance was kind of like, hey, let's try out this. Ubisoft does this a lot. You'll see them put out kind of I won't say smaller, but kind of exclusive platform titles, and they'll kind of dip their toe in the water and see like, hey, is this going to be a big thing? And of course, Just Dance was a big thing. So then it was like, okay, now we're going to bring it to Kinect and then the Move controllers and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm still never going to agree with it. Like nothing's ever going to change my mind. It's exclusive content's always going to piss me off, but I understand why it happens, and I guess I, like many others, are just going to have to learn to live with it. But to see Major Nelson come out and make such a blatant statement like that was, right, from what I understand, they've just been signing a lot of checks.
He doesn't normally
but
say
he's not wrong. Yeah, but that's, we should at this point, like we're not stupid anymore. This is like the 1990s or 1980s where people were figuring out the behind the scenes stuff. Like with the internet, with forums, with all of these things that people talk about and leaks and all this stuff. Like we know the behind the scenes. Like we understand how this works. Right? None of this should be shocking to any of us. It should be like an about time type of thing, right? Like we get it. Sony has a lot of friggin' money. They're gonna spend it, rightfully so. If you're a big business and you want to put some money in your product, then by all means go for it. That shouldn't be a shock to anybody that Sony's gonna spend money to get an advantage over Microsoft. Microsoft's their direct competitor. Who else is there? Nintendo's not in the market yet.
There is a group of people that will be shocked to find out that Sony have money, and that'll be the Xbox fanboys who always say that Sony's broke. They'll be like, what? They actually got all this money? We were wrong all this time? Damn. So that's a bit of a slap in the face with reality for the fanboys, for the elitists. Sorry, Sony actually does have a lot of money.
Who knew the company that owned the rights to the Spider-Man films has money?
Right.
And Ghostbusters.
Yeah, you know those movies. The one where Uncle Ben dies every 4 friggin' years. I have seen that freaking guy die so many times on film. I'm so sick of it. If I have to see him die one more time, I will kill him myself.
Oh dear. All right, so before we move on, because we've got so many codes to give away, we're going to have to do them quite frequently. So we're going to give our first code away. We have somebody who's quietly sitting in the live chat for us, randomly picking these winners. So that's how this will be done for those who are listening and wondering how we're going about choosing the winners for it. So the winner of the first code is Ricardo Souza, and you've won a copy of Assassin's Creed Unity on the Xbox One. You will need to send me a DM on Twitter so that I can get that code to you. And Neil, I believe, is going to put my Twitter handle in the chat for you. And welcome to the chat section, Digital Falcon. Nice to see you here. Okay, so now that we've cleared that away, let's move on to our next fun topic. EA responds to Titanfall 2's low sales and why they should have expected this to happen.
I don't know how they made this mistake. I don't understand. How do you release there's 2 big shooters right now before Call of Duty drops, right? There's Titanfall 2 and then there's Battlefield 1. You know, that one that got all those giant likes on YouTube. You know, the one that got all this crazy amount of hype. You know, the one that EA is actually behind as our go-to game. You know what I'm talking about? Like, let's be honest here. If these were teams, freaking Battlefield 1 is the Yankees, Titanfall 2 is the Mets, okay? New York's only picking one team. New York ain't going with the Mets, okay? Let's be 100% honest here. How in the hell do you expect people, like money doesn't grow on trees. The average person isn't going to buy, 2 FPS shooter games, in a month of each other. It's just not going to happen. They need some breathing room, man. That's insane. It was way too close. And then with Call of Duty 2, it's so much. Couldn't they have just waited 4 more months, 5 more months or something? You know what I mean? Does it have to be released now just to try to corner this market that Call of Duty that for years is monopolized? No, you have Battlefield. That should be your catalyst against Call of Duty. Titanfall 2, as much as I enjoyed the first one, was a niche game. It is a niche game with a niche community. It's not going to replace Call of Duty
now, but because you shoehorn it as an exclusive on the first game, and then you have then you expect to bring the sequel out on multi-platform. It's not going to do as well as if it was on both platforms.
I mean, what are you hoping for when you do that, right? So the people that were that really saw, man, this game looks really cool. Too bad I own a PS, like a PS3 or whatever, PS4. Now I get a chance to play it. Versus the people that are when it first came out, screw this game. I have a PS4. I have a PS3. I don't need this game. This game sucks. Blah blah blah. Xbone. Are you going to convert those guys? Probably not.
No, you're not.
Probably not.
They're the loudest. They're the loudest population. I don't know how many times I saw people go when Titanfall dropped. Pardon the pun. It was like,
I see. Did you guys see what it is there? Because the drop thing, right?
But it's like, but people were like, oh my god, this is a really cool, different take on the FPS genre. And then it was like, oh, but I have a PS4. But I'd really like it. I'd play it if it was on the PS4. And it's like, now it is on the PS4. The sales are in the shitter. It's like, what the hell? But I think most of that is from EA's arrogance to go, yeah, we can bring out 2 FPS games and then take on Call of Duty and expect both of them to sell equally well, and it's not going to happen.
How many FPS games did they try to take out Call of Duty with in the last couple of years? The Battlefield series, the Medal of Honor. What else have they had? You know what I mean? They've had multiple. Yeah, they've had multiple games where they've tried to be like, hey, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one, and it hasn't worked yet. Finally, you have one game where not just Xbox and PS4, but they're like just people in general are yeah, this is going to be our game, which is Battlefield 1, which got this huge amount of support on YouTube. It's just unproportional amount of support on YouTube.
It was huge. Huge.
And you're going to make people have to choose internally if they can only afford to buy one game between that and Titanfall. It makes no strategical sense. It is such a ridiculous move on EA's part. I'm glad it's failing. I really am. I have both games. I actually bought the bundle that said you buy the premium or the deluxe editions of both.
Didn't you? You bought the one with everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Did you get the
that's how you roll.
Did you get the helmet?
Well, yeah. No, I get the helmet. I get the helmet now. I'm trying to hold back on my ludicrous purchases.
You didn't get the helmet? I didn't get the helmet.
No. I know. I show some self-restraint.
I'm really impressed with you right now. You're growing up in front of my eyes and everything.
I might have been able to if they'd released it a month later, so I could breathe a little bit financially. But no, they had to release all at the same time. I had to choose only one, so I chose that bundle instead of the bundle with the helmet. Well, whatever. The point being, they needed more time. Call of Duty is going to be Call of Duty, regardless of how much people hate it. It's always going to be Call of Duty. People are always going to just buy the damn thing. Titanfall 2 is not going to be the game to beat it.
I bought it.
Are you?
I am. Everybody knows me as a Call of Duty girl. I run a Call of Duty clan, for Pete's sake. I have not bought it. I am not putting that trash on my console. Don't even get me started about how salty I am over Infinite Warfare.
Wow. Bella's been abducted by aliens, I think. I'm lost for words to try and explain how disappointed I am with the direction. Yeah, I ran a clan. Well, you know me before. Damn.
I always get a little uneasy every time a white person says I run a clan.
It's not that kind of clan. Oh, okay. So the funny thing is, and obviously they've done this because there needs to be a certain degree of damage control that comes into it. But EA have come out and they've said that they don't feel like they made a mistake with releasing it when they did, and that they believe that there's really three types of players. People that really love Battlefield and want that kind of big strategic gameplay that will orient in that direction. The player that loves the fast, fluid, kinetic gameplay of Titanfall 2 that will really orient in that direction. And the player that just loves to play both and wants to play the year's two biggest shooters.
I think that is complete BS. I really do.
It's utter.
There is only two types of players. There's players with money and there's players without money.
That's really true. Like, I mean, if you've got all the money in the world, you're going to buy everything you want. But if you've got a budget, or particularly if you're a kid and you're relying on getting these as gifts from family for birthdays and Christmases and stuff like that, you really have to make a tough choice. Which one am I going to buy? And you're always going to go with the one that the most amount of people that you play with are going to be playing. And typically that's going to be either Call of Duty or Battlefield. It's not necessarily going to be Titanfall.
Well, too, and I think, they make that statement now about differentiating between the players, but none of the marketing campaigns made that differentiation. The marketing campaign for Battlefield and the marketing campaign for Titanfall and the trailers and stuff were all just high octane action. They weren't. You don't watch a Battlefield 1 trailer and go, "Oh, look at all that strategy!" It's just like massive chaos everywhere. So I think, from the business perspective, I think it was too cluttered of a market, and they should have held Titanfall 2 to the spring. That's what I would say from a development standpoint.
Yeah. Let Call of Duty sales and let Battlefield 1 sales, equal out each other, and then bring it out. But the thing is you have Infinite Warfare, which is
trash.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, the thing is, what I would have done in that position is I would have waited until maybe, I don't know, February or March of next year, when everybody who went out and spent their $100 on Infinite Warfare was like, this is bloody trash. And they took it back in. They'd be like, what else is good? Oh, there's Titanfall. So then they'd end up getting all the people that were going to buy and play COD over onto Titanfall.
I don't think those people were going to play Titanfall. I really don't think that even though they're futuristic games with robots and stuff. No, I just don't think they're going to do it. I strongly believe Titanfall isn't a universal game yet. I don't think it has that audience. I think it's still kind of a niche game. As much as I love, nobody in the world loved Bayonetta more than I did. I was so enthralled with that game. I thought it was perfect. I really did. I didn't have anything wrong to say about it. Like that was a flawless game. Say what you will about the character, but the gameplay was amazing. The frames per second was amazing. The combat was amazing. It was challenging. There was a ton of unlockables. I mean, a ridiculous amount of unlockables and hidden content. You could play the game over as multiple characters, each with multiple skins. There's hidden stages. Like, this is stuff that normal companies throw as DLC. This game just had. It was a complete game. I loved that game. That being said, that game was super niche. Super, super niche. It had zero widespread appeal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I don't think Titanfall is that game. It's just not. And I think the biggest reason for it not being that game was because it launched as a console exclusive instead of a like a cross-platform thing. And when it did launch, it's again without the campaign. People just looked at it as a bare bones title, and it just kind of faded away. I think that's the height of Titanfall's popularity, and I don't think it'll ever, at its current state, replace a Call of Duty until they, really focus on having both an amazing campaign and both a great online component, not just a 4 to 5 hour campaign, but like a long epic story with characters that I care about, with a Master Chief, with a Marcus Phoenix, with something to pull me in instead of just, whatever. They're not going to be that guy because there's nothing dragging me there. I have it. I played it for 5 minutes. I got through the tutorial and I was like, time for Battlefield 1.
Well, the thing is every major FPS has had a single player campaign for the last 5-10 years. For them to go, no, we're gonna buck the trend and just go multiplayer only. They're shooting themselves in the foot, and including it in the sequel just goes to show that it was a bad idea in the first place.
Think about it this way: if they had multiplayer, if they had a single player campaign from the get-go, and like a legitimate one, a 6 to 7 to 8 hour campaign with an actual character that you remember, so they could have already established another Master Chief, another Marcus Phoenix. By the time the sequel comes around, I'm already invested in that game because of said character.
Exactly.
There's a reason why people didn't give a crap about Gears of War Judgment.
Oh, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Enjoyed the campaign. I mean, the multiplayer was trash, but the campaign was cool. Yeah,
but you're a horrible person. So for most people, there's a reason why.
Every day sitting there calling me a horrible person. I'm going to bitch slap you so badly after this podcast. Like, just get ready with some cream because you're going to need it.
Finish that sentence.
Oh, no. That's as far as I'm going with that. I'm not crude like Anthony.
Phrasing.
What you guys are talking about? What you're trying to imply that I'm just here to talk about games. That's what I do. That's what I bring to this podcast. Games.
Yeah. And raising my blood pressure. It's fantastic.
That could just be diabetes. You never know. It's a serious condition.
Anyway, so basically, at the end of the day, none of us, yet again, are surprised that the sales for Titanfall 2 haven't gone as well as what one would expect, particularly when you consider just how big of a thing Titanfall was when it first came out, and still is. There are communities that are still thriving playing Titanfall.
Why was Titanfall big when it first came out? Was it because the multiplayer gameplay was so incredible? Was it because it was a exclusive for Xbox and they hyped it up? Or was it because at the time the market was weak and there wasn't much competition for it?
I think that's sort of more to the point. So it was a really good game. There's no denying that. I love the crap out of Titanfall. But it was a launch title for the Xbox, and there weren't that many titles launched on Xbox on the Xbox One when it came out. So there's also that the choices that you had for the games that you could play at the time were quite minimal. So Titanfall really, it got pushed to the forefront because of that.
It was a weak market.
But it stayed alive the way it did because it actually was really good.
No doubt. As a multiplayer game, Titanfall 1 was a great game. But there's always that thing, like, when the multiplayer gets stale, I want to go back and replay a campaign, and have a connection to a character within the game.
Yeah. Even if you don't go back to the campaign, even if you went through the multiplayer and you finished the campaign, even if you never go back to the campaign, if you just finish it, and you spend a good anywhere between 6 to 8 hours to it, you feel like, hey, it's completed. You know what I mean? Like I ate the whole pie. The multiplayer is like the cherry on top. That's the bonuses, right? So at least if you do the campaign, you'll have that. Without the campaign, you're expecting big updates from multiplayer. And to be honest, even though I got the season pass with the first Titanfall, and I played all the maps, I was never really excited for the maps. You know what I was excited about? It was a free update that they gave us, and they gave us different voiceovers inside our mech. So I had like a Japanese or a German voice. All of mine were German. And it just sounded cool. And that one little free update was like, oh, this is kind of a cool little content. Just that got me excited more so than their maps, because again, I didn't have that single player, right? So I just wanted something different.
Yeah, and I mean, they've really done a great job with the campaign in Titanfall 2. I must say, I'm really impressed with it. I went in with low expectations because this was the first installment that had a campaign in it. I wasn't quite sure how they were going to go about tackling it. Really impressed, having a really good time with it. And, you know, it may just be that I'm a girl and this is why I had this reaction to it, but just the same with Gears of War 4. The opening cinematic and the way that they bring you into the game for Titanfall 2, I got a little bit choked up.
Yeah, it's because you're a girl.
Yeah.
Chicks.
Oh.
Oh, God. All right, before we move on, we're going to have to do another giveaway. We're not going to get these codes out. So I have been given the name of the next winner, and it is...
You're gonna love this prize. It's going to be PS4 exclusive content to Assassin's Creed Unity.
Can I have a drum roll, please, somebody?
Drums.
Scott Matthews, you have won a copy of Dance Central Spotlight on Xbox One. Please send me a direct message on Twitter and I'll organize to get that code to you. All right, so moving on to our next subject matter. Nintendo Switch. There's been a little bit of a apparent leak. I mean, are things ever really leaked? That's probably another entire podcast on itself. Of the possible launch date, price, and the bundles that are meant to be coming out. So according to the information that has been released by Laura Kate Dale, the release date is meant to be March 17th for PAL and releasing within a week for other systems. And it's also expected that it's going to be region-free too, which is really good. I'm hoping that Sony catch on to just how convenient region-free is at some point in the near future. Nintendo also apparently have plans to release Rhythm Heaven with Nintendo characters with 3 different bundles. So the base bundle will be $260 US with Rhythm Heaven included. The next one up will be $300, which is a Mario themed bundle. And then the top line one will be $340, which is a Zelda bundle with a Pro controller. I'm definitely getting the Zelda bundle.
So basically,
is anybody else here excited?
So basically, the system is $340 is what you're telling me.
Well, it is for you because you'll buy the top line.
That's what everybody should buy. That's clearly the only deal that's relevant.
Well, if it's $340 US, we're looking at about $520 over here in Australia.
Yeah, it's about $400+ here in Canada. Like right now, there's just no real drag for me. I liked it, man. I saw what it can do. I'm like, you know what? If there was an application where I could play or stream like a streaming service that had old Wii and Wii U games, I think this would be great. I would love to do it. I really would. Even like older games back from like the GameCube and N64, I think this is like a perfect device because it's portable too, where you can play, classic Nintendo games anywhere and actually not look like an idiot playing it on your phone. So I would love to do that, but right now there's just no app for me to like. I like Zelda, but I don't think this Zelda game is going to be the one that's going to pull me in.
Yeah.
I'm just getting the Super Nintendo, the little mini one, and going to play Super Mario Brothers.
Is it? I think it's just regular Nintendo, isn't it? Just the NES. Is there a smaller one for Super?
Yeah, no, it's just a regular little one for NES.
Yeah, just for the NES, right? I think that one with the NES would be worth it. Is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out in there? Because I think that'd be a great game that's still playable to this day. Like those games like that, it's timeless. Like it still controls great.
I was just gonna say
it still looks good.
Yeah, If they release a new Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, which they can't, but if they do, it would be awesome.
Yeah, this is very true. Well, I think that those prices are relatively well set in the realm of achievability for a lot of people. I don't think that they could come out.
I thought it'd be cheaper, to be honest. I thought it'd actually be cheaper.
I was expecting it to be a little bit cheaper than that, but you know, I would still be happy to go and pay that $340 US for the Zelda bundle, and particularly to get the Pro.
Those are big boy prices. Nintendo's like, what's Sony and Microsoft doing? Maybe we can do that. Those are. I'm actually impressed. You know, they didn't try to be like, hey, little kids, we got something for you, and your parents aren't gonna, hate you because it's not affordable, huh? How about some of us? They're like, hey, let's compete with the bigger guys. It's actually very, very impressive, because usually when Nintendo has a system, it's generally known as the cheaper system.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
when was the last time
technically
Nintendo had a system that was on par or like, not really $340?
Well, it still is a cheaper one. I mean, even the PS Pro is coming out at $399. That's still more expensive than $340.
Yeah, but not that much more expensive.
Not that much, no. No, they are creeping up there, but we have to have a look at the technology that's in the Switch as well. And I don't know. Look, I think that I'm happy with that. I would have liked it to be slightly cheaper, but I'm happy with that. I'll pay that.
Are you going to write an article about teraflops per dollar?
Teraflops per dollar. Get out of here. You're atrocious. Did it power you? Like, it's... What am I going to do with a lot of you? Christian's the only one that's on trouble with me at the moment.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, give it a minute. All right. So before we move on to the next subject, I'm going to get the name of the next winner sent to me. We're going to get that out of the way. So we've given away at least one of each lot of codes.
So many prizes.
Yeah, we've got heaps. We've got 15 to get through. So, yeah, it's I'm going to have to keep stopping constantly to chuck these out, which I'm sure the people who are winning them don't mind. But anyway, I'll bring up the subject matter that we're about to talk about next. And in that meantime, Neil will go away and choose a winner by random for us.
I'm going to throw in my own little prize here with this one. Whoever wins this one, you give me either your Facebook or your Twitter handle, and I'll either give you one like or a retweet. How about that?
Exposure.
Yeah. One like on Facebook or a retweet on Twitter.
That your generosity is just astounding.
Yeah, it's a tax write-off for me on contractor, so this is good.
Oh, is that right? Okay, let's move on to the next subject, shall we? Phil Spencer apparently not ready to bring VR to the Xbox, doesn't want to release it until he doesn't feel like the games that can be played on it aren't gimmicky or demo-like. What do we think about that?
So basically not making the same mistakes that he made with Kinect.
Exactly.
Or not he. I shouldn't say he. That Microsoft made with Kinect.
Exactly.
We're going to make sure that we're going to have a preference that actually has games that merit its existence, as opposed to just forcing it on people's throats. And then I don't even have my Kinect set up. I left it alone. It's still in the box. I threw away the box. I could give a crap about that Kinect. I'm never going to use it. I was never going to use it. I hated its existence. So this is good. This is very, very good.
I don't know. I think that there are a lot of people out there that are under the impression that the way that the Scorpio has been marketed is that it's VR capable. Therefore, there will be, and that they've already been talking about VR experiences that will be available on the Scorpio. So therefore, people would be anticipating that there would be a VR device to play said VR experiences on. And now to hear them say that they are thinking about doing it, but it's not going to be right away. We're not releasing the Scorpio with a VR headset. You're going to have to wait.
But how many of the VR games are going to be legit though? Like how many VR games are actually going to be VR games where there's a dedicated emphasis on the fact that they have this tool and people are using this ability? And how many VR games are just going to have some niche titles or some niche moments of the game where it's going to be VR and the rest of it's just going to be unnoticeable? It's no different than a 3D movie. some 3D movies are meant to be shot in 3D, like Avatar, for example, and then sometimes theaters release a 3D movie and there's like nothing 3D about it, like nothing at all, right?
Except
Like how much of it's legit?
Except for that water bottle that goes against the screen.
Yeah, or the axe or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's coming at you.
Oh, that horror movie with the axe. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thoroughly impressed with PSVR.
Or Precious.
If they're able to bring out a device like that at the price that they've put it out now for the PS4, surely Microsoft should be able to come up with a headset that is of decent quality by the time that the Scorpio releases. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, they could. And I thought I'd read that they were developing that, but maybe I heard that. Never mind. I forgot I said that. But the other thing they may be waiting for too is just to see how the overall market shakes out. You know, whether there's a clear leader in VR, if it's something like the Rift or Vive or OSVR, then they could just partner with that manufacturer to to basically have Xbox experiences tailored to that device. Then they don't have to risk bringing out a whole nother product line in a really crowded market.
Yeah, I think they 100% have to.
Because they announced those 4 partners that are developing VR headsets for Windows 10 that has inside out motion tracking. So they could, test that market and see how it works on the PC, and then easily just transition that over to Xbox One and have the games play anywhere.
Yeah. The other thing you got to take into account is the HoloLens. If they're still trying to push the HoloLens into a commercial market, then now you have kind of 2 competing AR VR platforms, and it may make sense to just focus on the HoloLens till it's done, and then if the VR markets change, they can pivot on that.
Yeah. I mean, as a child of VR from the 90s, being tethered now in 2016 is not a seller for me.
That's the worst part of VR for me is the tethering, especially with the Vive, less so with the Rift, and kind of in the middle with the OSVR, because the way it has this funky belt clip thing that kind of makes it a little better, so you're not tripping over it as much. But the weight of the Vive and just that huge amount of stuff hanging off the back of your cable or back of your neck, and then you're turning around in circles and getting wrapped up in it. It really takes away from the experience.
What VR was there from the 90s?
Isn't tethered.
It was like cardboard VR, wasn't it? Oh, I think he's roboted out.
Oops.
Yeah, your connection's cutting in and out. You might want to wait for it to even out for a second, Anthony. Well, I'm just a bit surprised that so many other devices have been able to come out and be compatible with PlayStation and PC and stuff like that, but Microsoft don't seem to have enough confidence in what they're making to be able to launch it with the Scorpio. Now, yes, if the device isn't going to be up to scratch, or if the games and experiences that are going to be provided to play on said headset aren't going to be anything other than gimmicky or demo-ish, then yeah, hold back the release. Naturally. But I am surprised that other people are doing this. Other companies have been able to achieve it. And a company as big as Microsoft seem to not be able to get things done by the launch of the Scorpio.
I think how cool would it have been if they released Scorpio for Titanfall, and then every time you're in the mech, that's when you actually get the actual legitimate 3D thing?
That would be cool.
That would have been something that would have been different, right? But if you don't have anything like that set in place, there's no reason to launch it prematurely. I would have even preferred they not launch it at all and just partnered up with an Oculus Rift. I think it makes more sense. Financially, it's cheaper because the peripheral's done. You don't have to do anything. It already friggin' exists. All you have to do is find a way to use it and utilize it to your games, maybe even customize a little bit of it, but the blueprint's already there. The hard work's already done. So they would have saved tons and tons of dollars. And Oculus Rift has a name already. People are already aware of it. They know it exists. It's being used for multiple applications.
Well, I think you might see that.
You need to partner up with that.
Yeah, I think you might see that happen. The other thing it could be is, they could be moving forward with one of these plans, and it's just a 1-2 punch, right? Let's get the platform out there. We don't want to focus on that on VR like we did with Kinect. So we can still move forward with it, and then a few months later go, hey, now we're super satisfied with VR. So here's our VR push, and go buy the VR peripheral, or go plug in your Rift, and here's our launch lineup for VR. They can have a whole second wave of press and stuff around support for VR. Hypothetically.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
Or they can do what Ubisoft does and release a press conference with a Nerf show, where they just get 2 kids playing laser tag.
Hey,
that creates hype.
I bought those laser tag kits. Those were awesome.
What's your kill death ratio?
It was
Negative $80.
No, it was. I bought them when they were going on sale at Zeller's before they closed. They were going for like $60 each.
Well, that's foreshadowing Ubisoft.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I've already put my opinion out there about how I feel about that. I feel like PSVR is doing like a brilliant job in that space at the moment. I feel like as gamers, we're ready for VR to be a part of our regular gaming experience. I, for one, are playing a couple of games on PSVR, Eve, Valkyrie, and Riggs, and both of them just have amazing multiplayer. A bit like the replayability is off the charts. Riggs, I think, is probably the best multiplayer FPS that I have ever played, and it makes normal console gaming just seem a bit meh.
But why don't we see the hype over it? Like,
because how many people own a PSVR? How many people had the money to go out and buy it? How many people have got the money to buy it and all the games? Not that many people. So I think that this is why we're seeing a slow.
But that's the thing is that, and that's
hyping that shit so that people do buy it.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with VR in general, is because you're saying that about the PSVR, and it's the most cost-effective VR out there. I mean, if you look at the Vive, even though I didn't buy any of this stuff, the Vive was $700. The graphics card to run it was $700, and then on top of my development PC, which originally was probably, I don't know, a few $1,000s. That's a lot of change to drop, and so that's why I predicted the PSVR was going to win in kind of sales, especially once I found out that the touch controllers for the Oculus are sold separately, and they're like $300. It's like, look, our headset's cheap, but if you want to use anything besides a Xbox controller, then you have to buy these $300 controllers. It's like, geez, guys. So yeah. What do you think about the Move controllers, though? Because I've seen a lot of people feel that using the Move controllers was like kind of a cheap out.
It is a cheap out. It's the 5-year-old tech.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, guys.
I have no issue with the Move controllers. They do the job. What's the point in forcing people who already own Move controllers that do the exact thing that they need to do for that device to go and buy another thing to do the exact same thing that the Move controllers can do?
Yeah, but I felt that way about the Vive controllers until I tried the Rift controllers. The Rift controllers, in my opinion, even though the Vive is a better piece of hardware and it has higher resolution, even though it's heavy as heck, the touch controllers for the Oculus, or for an FPS player, they're just a natural. They're so natural. For a console player, just you stick them on and it feels like you just have an Xbox controller split between your two hands. You're not kind of holding a big device.
Just make a damn power glove already. We all want a power glove. This is clearly the only application in the world where the power glove becomes relevant. Clearly the technology exists. Just freaking make a power glove, guys.
No.
Yeah, hit up Tony Stark. Before we progress any further into this conversation, though, I would like to welcome Enrique to the house.
Hey, what's going on, everyone?
What's up?
How's it going?
I'm
I don't like change.
About video games? You don't like change? Oh, goodness. Okay, so as you probably realize already, we're having a bit of a chat about Phil Spencer's statement saying that they're not going to be bringing VR to the Scorpio on release, that will be down the track because they want to wait until it doesn't feel gimmicky or like demos anymore.
They don't want another Kinect repeat.
That's what Anthony said. Yeah.
I mean, that's
Now, way to just copy and paste Anthony's already said. New guy. Real big contribution to the podcast there.
I feel like you're threatening Anthony's manhood a little bit by being here. I'm not quite sure what's going on. It's like hackles are up on his back, he's winging on the tree, marking his territory.
I'm drinking a margarita. That's all I can say.
Oh, that is so manly of you.
It is.
So you don't have to worry about it affecting your man.
Let me tell you something. Margaritas are very refreshing drinks. If you don't like drinking tequila straight, perfect drink.
Let's get into that at some other point.
That's another guy. And I want to say cheers to Christian real quick.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So, and we had him on our podcast, and he was drinking a beer with us. So, just want to say cheers. So.
Yeah, thanks. I have a hard and fast rule. I don't drink before 4 p.m. Oh, wait, it's 4:30.
It's 5 p.m. somewhere.
Okay, so before we kick through, I actually have the name of the person who's winning the next code, and that person is Christopher van der Velden. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, sir. You have won a copy of Max Curse of the Brotherhood. If you could send me a DM on Twitter, I will get that across to you at the end of the podcast.
Yeah, and send me a DM too for those likes and retweets. One each. One each.
Oh, God. Okay, so the next subject matter that we have to discuss is the introduction of operator billing for Xbox games. So basically how this works is instead of using your PayPal or your MasterCard or whatever it might be to buy your games on your console, the PC, or through the Smart Glass app, you can now actually attach your phone number to it so that those fees will go onto your phone bill. So you don't have to use your credit card or anything like that anymore. Now, I've got some issues with this. My first issue.
Terrible idea.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My first issue is all the parents around the world that are just going to get their phone bills and be, what the hell is going on? $3,000?
Yep.
So yeah, there's that. That's a big problem. I do see the pro in it, though, that it does give more options for how you want to pay. And if you don't want to have to attach a credit card, and you don't do PayPal, then you can use this option. So, more options in some circumstances are always
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm just going to say this straight up here. If you don't have a credit card or if you don't use PayPal, you probably shouldn't be buying anything online.
Yeah, well, I mean, you need something that's secure, when you're using stuff like that.
Who's the market for this? It's not college kids because they're going to be using PayPal.
This is 100% for kids. This is 100% for kids that do not have a credit card yet, that don't have a PayPal account because they're still living at home, or they just don't have their own allowance yet. Like this is a terrible. This is manipulating little kids into spending money that they don't really understand isn't theirs.
The big concern is when if it comes into like it does on the mobile with the microtransactions, where the kids are buying 10 cents and 5 cents here, and mom doesn't notice
thinking it's nothing. Yeah, like like Microsoft might as well just plant a Microsoft employee next to your bank account, and then once a month they just take out $80 and be like, "Is this okay?" Or they'll just text you after, like, "This cool?" And then every month they just take out fucking $80 from you. That's what's happening here.
They're already doing this on Google Play. I mean, you can buy music on Google Play, and it just you can get it tacked onto your phone bill. So
yeah, I mean, the introduction of operator billing isn't something new. It is being used by many different services and companies around the world already. I think where I have an issue with it, whilst I can still see that the fact that there's more options being added and more options are always good, I do have an issue with it when it comes to the ramifications of how much ease of access do we want people to have when they're making video games that they don't have to make a conscious decision about, well, I don't have money in my credit card, or I don't have money on my PayPal, or I don't have funds on my Xbox Live account, so I need to rationalize, can I actually make this purchase? No, I'll just put it on my phone bill and worry about it next month.
They can't. Like it's bad because this is putting a lot of people further in debt. You know what I mean? Like a credit card is one thing, at least when that gets maxed out, like you can't spend anymore. And by the way, you should never max out your credit. That does horrific atrocities to your credit rating. But when it comes to your like phone bill, like some phone companies, I know some of my friends, they like refuse to pay for months on end, and they get reminders, and it stacks. Like their phone bill goes from like 150 to like $600 after a couple. Like, you know, could you imagine if now on top of that you're adding video game charges as well to that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I
Debt
think
kills people. Yeah, it's terrible.
I think too that this is one of my concerns as a developer is that it feeds more into this microtransaction business model, which I don't like. I don't like, you know, trying to have to, you know, build in monetization into gameplay, which leads you down the line of essentially building, you know, Las Vegas casino games that use the same kind of mechanics to addict people so that they'll spend, you know, $10, $20, you know, a month on a title. I'd rather have a business climate where developers could just create really good games. And it seems like we're on this eternal march towards, you know, monetization models that then drive gameplay, that then drive business, and you know, it's constantly
because it works.
Well, it does work,
it works in droves.
Yeah, the problem though that the mechanics that it uses to work are addictive mechanics. Like you're being pushed as a designer to design mechanics. And yes, you want your games to be addictive in the sense of, you know, I want people to like to play this all the time, and so you have reward loops and things like that. But then you throw that monetization into the loop, then you are actively feeding what essentially gambling addiction.
I think it's but if you really break down, the core differences between a pay to win mobile game, right? With a lot of paywalls compared to a regular console game. Maybe not even like a AAA console game, just like one of those like Xbox indie games or PS4 indie games that a small developer will make. That's complete with no microtransactions, no DLC, just a complete game. What's the core differences here, right? The big one for me is progression. You have to pay for. Right? Mm-hmm. But the principle's still the same. As gamers, when we play a game, we want to progress. I want to feel like I leveled up. I want to feel like I got to the next part. I want to feel like I advanced somehow, either the story, my abilities, or whatever else, right? So they're just using stuff that console gamers want, but they're basically making us pay to get that release. That's what's happening. It would be like if from now on, every time you have sex, you get charged if you orgasm. Like, and if you don't pay the charge, you cannot orgasm, and then you just stop it. You're like, what?
That would
I have to stop?
be terrible.
It would be terrible. But guess what you would do though? You would pay the charge.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody would pay the charge. It's the exact same thing. I'm not saying like leveling up is like orgasming, but it's still that want. You want to do that. You want to get to that level, right? When it comes to like, you know, mobile games and stuff, you have to pay for that.
God.
So they're just using stuff that works already, but they're monetizing it.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
Podcast is orgasmic.
I love it. It makes perfect sense though. I love it. It makes perfect sense.
You guys should pay us. We have a Patreon or something, right? We don't?
No.
Okay, never mind.
You just solved the credit problem in the U.S. You have the idea.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
Yeah. He's a solver. He's a thinker. Yeah. He's in trouble.
Yeah, imagine if the government
rating
taxed
no orgasms.
Taxing orgasms.
Taxing orgasms. The amount of money they would make in Las Vegas alone would be skyrocketing.
Oh my God!
So Christian, from the viewpoint of a developer, does it actually turn you off when you have a think about where you want to release your games, when you have a look at the payment models that they have in play, things like this operator billing, does that turn you off wanting to put your game on that platform, knowing that you're potentially going to be contributing to something like that?
Well, and let us know what turns you on so you can get your release and how much you would pay for it.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my God,
Bella, what did I just walk into?
Welcome to RGM.
No, I wouldn't say necessarily the platform. I wouldn't say like, oh, you know, Xbox has, you know, this payment system and PlayStation doesn't, so I'm going to put it on PlayStation or whatever. But I think it's just overall as a whole in the industry, it seems less pure. It seems like we're not making as an industry, with these different monetization models and things like this. And I'm sure, I don't think someone sat down and went like, oh, here, we can do this like evil thing. It was just something, like, oh, here's another way for people to pay. But it's just this overall kind of drive towards, monetizing things that it is a form of art, and it's not, I'm not saying that like we don't want to monetize things, because as you well know, I'm in one of those situations where I'm not really monetizing any of my games, so because I'm not making any money, so I would like to monetize them more. But it just feels like this move towards the drip drop of money and setting up systems that make it really easy for people, to spend, a lot of money that they might not have, especially when it comes to something like a utility service. It's not like, hey, we link your PayPal and it's really easy and you can hit a button on your phone and buy something. That's one thing, but like, it's like saying like, oh, here, you can buy games and it'll put on your electric bill. Isn't this awesome? And
that's right. I mean, it's basically
let's put the next Call of Duty on my mortgage
to be able to spend money. If you don't have money on your credit card, or if you don't have money in your PayPal, and if you don't have money in your Xbox account and you can't afford to go get a code to put points on your Xbox, it doesn't matter.
I think this is more greedy. I think this is more greedy. I think Microsoft, PlayStation, Nintendo, any big company that's making it easier, like giving gamers this much access to buying their stuff, is more greedier than mobile game developers putting a paywall on progression.
Yeah, Candy Crush
really
looking
is.
at you.
But
because at least with progression, you have a choice. With this, it's just like, it's enabling.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm going
that's
to play the
exactly
devil's
what
advocate
it
here,
is.
but isn't it on the consumer though to make that decision or be responsible?
Well,
100%, but it just enables on the weak. Like it is 100% on the consumer too. But at the same time, like it's just, to me, like if you're putting on your phone bill, you can put on any bill. As far as I'm concerned, there's no stopping it. Like the whole mortgage
it's
thing
opening a door,
was a joke, but it's not a closed joke. That's actually a possibility.
I agree with you guys.
Setting
I'm
a
playing devil's
precedent.
advocate here.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like the thing is, like when you walk into a casino, you know what you're getting. Like if you're not a complete idiot, you know that there's no clocks in the casino, there's no windows in the casino, the lighting level's all set up to keep you there. And probably the first time you went to a casino, you went to a casino like I did the first time in Vegas, and all of a sudden it's 4:00 in the morning. But you kind of know that going in. No, I had a credit card, so yeah. I was young
also,
and stupid.
let's be honest here. Like, even if it is, and I firmly believe it is 100% up to the consumer to control him or herself, we don't make rules and laws on the strongest persons of our society. We always kind of make them on our lowest common denominator with any sort of rule and law.
Particularly
right?
when it comes to making money.
Yeah, or anything that's hazardous and dangerous to us. And honestly, even though gaming isn't a quote-unquote danger, if you buy too much stuff and you can't afford it, that is debt. And debt is a huge danger. That increases stress levels, it increases suicides, it kills people. Falling behind in debt literally kills people. And I'm not saying that, this is a murderous thing, but you're making it easier for people that don't have money, that have spending problems, because spending is an addiction, to fall further behind and fall further into their own problems. It just doesn't need to exist. PayPal and credit cards, online banking, those are perfectly fine. The wheel doesn't need to be reinvented. It's already round. It rolls perfectly good. There's nothing more that you can do to make that. Like literally, you might as well just have Microsoft by your bank taking money out every single month and just texting you, I took 20, I took 30. Is this cool? You know what I mean?
I think
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's why this kind of is smacking people the wrong way. And I've seen a lot of people talk about it in my developer circles. Is just, I think it's that it either feels like it's for kids or it's for that college student who doesn't understand debt and doesn't understand, and it's like, oh, my credit card's maxed out and I don't have any money in the bank account, but I really want this DLC, so I'll put on my phone bill. Cool.
Exactly. That's where I have the problem with it.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
That's what it is. That's 100% what this is, and that's not free credit, people. If you don't actually have money, the worst thing you can do is spend credit on stuff you don't actually need. That's the worst thing you can do.
One of the things that may potentially mitigate this problem a little bit is that the phone providers actually have an option as to whether they're going to be a part of this or not. So Microsoft reach out to all the different phone providers and offer them a partnership where they can sign up to allow the phone bill to be charged these things from Microsoft. That way the money can, go back to them. And I assume
I can't see any. I can't see any company saying no to this proposition just because it's easy money for them. If they're late on their payments, they just tax it with interest. This is all profit.
I don't know.
This is a way to make money.
Company. I don't think AT&T would ever try to screw their customers.
Oh my gosh. But there is risk to the phone companies in this.
Yeah, there is. There really is. And I think that, even though there's only a small number of phone providers that have signed up to this service or to be a partner of this service so far, obviously that's going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And I don't see any particular phone providing service saying, no, I'm not going to allow you to make my customers' phone bills even higher so that they can't pay them, so that I get to put late payment fees on them and stuff like that. But there is a potential for that to actually end up snowballing and become a real big issue. If you don't have a credit card, and normally you wouldn't be able to pay for games on your Xbox, and now you can put them onto your phone bill without having to have any prior approval of a credit rating, this could be an issue.
I wonder if there's a stipulation though to who has access to this, because I know that when you sign up for a phone, they always run credit on consumers, and I wonder if there's any kind of built-in stipulation based on that individual's credit report, whether or not they're allowed to have this service attached to their account.
Well, that's a good question. That's a great question. But another question I have is, one of the things that I have to do every 2 months is call. I have AT&T. You can tell I'm really enthralled with them. Call them and get some BS thing taken off my bill, whether it's like, a late payment thing for the being processed. They get the payment after 5 p.m. and they, add $15 late fee or something like that. There's always crap on my phone bill that I have to call and get taken off. Are the phone companies going to charge an additional fee on top of what Microsoft is charging you to use this service? So if I buy
like a specialty service, for example, like a premium,
them saying
right? Yeah.
Oh, you can do it. We'll just add 99 cents or $1.50 onto the purchase, and then again, they're just racking up.
And then your dollar microtransaction now costs you $2.50.
Well, I can speak to that because when I had a Zune membership, I had it linked to my.
Can you say that sentence one more time? Just the first sentence that you just said. Just one more time.
When I had a Zune membership.
You rebel.
Did you use your Ken phone to sign up for your Zune membership?
I had a Zune, damn it, a Zune HD.
No wonder he had that go into his phone bill. He didn't want his missus seeing it on the credit card.
Oh no, she had a big one.
I would be embarrassed too.
Hey, I had a Zune, but I got it from Microsoft for free and never used it. So. I think I gave it to my mom.
Ahead of its time. Anyways, regardless, I did buy a bunch of tracks and a bunch of albums, and they were charged to my cell phone bill, and there wasn't any extra charges. It just came up as Microsoft charges. So I don't think they will do it this time around. It would be kind of duplicitous on the telephone side to charge an extra fee.
You were saying Zune, as in Z-U-N-E.
Yes.
I thought you were saying Zoom, like Zoo magazine. The one with the naked women and stuff. I was like, oh my god!
Whoa!
You guys call your nudie mags in Australia Zoo?
Well, no, I believe there's one called Zoo magazine, and it's anyway. I don't know, but
you believe there's one.
I'm pretty sure that that's what it is, but I haven't read it, so I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that there is one of those types of magazines, and it's called Zoo magazine.
Don't you guys in Australia also have ice cream called Golden Gay Time?
We really do, and it's Amazing Balls.
Yeah, I really love that. They look really good.
Hello.
I would eat that ice cream all day long, and I would just milk it. Like, what are you doing right now? Just golden gay time, guys. Golden gay time. Just me and my gay time, all day long, all day. It looks amazing.
There's a Twitter link for you guys. Yep.
Is it golden gay time?
No, it's zoo.
So is that what it is? Was I thinking correct? Or let's say that for outside of this chat, because that's probably not,
It's
appropriate conversation for a games podcast. Okay,
we're just talking about ice cream.
Okay, so basically, before we wrap up the end of this conversation, I think it's important that we do remember that we do have people that are a little bit younger than 18 listening. So let's make sure that we keep things on track. Yeah.
Again, I was just talking about ice cream. The name of the ice cream is called Golden Gay Time. It sounds delicious. I love it. It's a fabulous product. I would like to have it.
Well, it actually is really, really, really good. But it's not that handy to eat when you're playing video games, just to bring it back into a video game aspect, because it's like on a paddle pop stick and it gets messy.
Oh boy.
You don't want to be eating that while you're gaming. It drips down your hand. It's a pain in the ass.
I would swallow it all day long. It just sounds delicious.
I don't know what I just walked back into, but I'm still talking about games.
Yes.
Yep. Golden games.
I stepped away for a second. I heard dripping down my hands, and I would swallow it. I'm like, what?
We're talking about ice cream. Okay, we're moving along, and we're going to do our giveaway before we wrap up this subject matter, because we need to get these codes flowing. So the next game code goes to Aronto Domedo, and I hope that I pronounced your name correctly. You have won a digital copy of Assassin's Creed Unity on the Xbox One, so please contact me via Twitter, and I will send you that code.
Damn.
So to wrap up this particular subject matter, I'm pretty sure that we can all say that we don't agree with this being added as a payment option through Xbox.
I think that's kind of safe to say.
Yeah, if it came to Canada, I wouldn't use it.
All right. Yeah, I wouldn't use it. I'm not going to be adding stuff like that on my phone bill. Like, if I can't pay for something, then I can't pay for it. I don't want to be putting more debt onto some other bill just to be able to facilitate another video game.
It's just such a scummy business tactic, making it easier for people to fall into debt, like further in, especially people that clearly do not understand how debt works. Like, this is not designed for people that are responsible and are, have their stuff together. Those people use credit cards. Those people use PayPal. Those people have a, one of those debit visas, right? People that don't have access to that or can't use it and can only get this new game or can only get this new expansion pack or can only get this new set of skins by just making their phone bill longer, do not understand how debt works, and shame on any developer and any company that's supporting this, because it is disgusting.
Yeah, it really makes me think of payday lending.
That's what this is. That's a lot what this is.
Yeah, let's not go there.
Payday lending. Your job's your credit.
Golden gay time.
So yeah, golden gay time ice cream. It's really, really good. Okay, so let's move on from that, because I think we've discussed the hell out of that. Instead of moving on to the next subject matter, though, I thought we might break it up and just do a little bit of a roundtable and see what games everybody's been playing and what your impressions of those games have been. So let's start with, actually, Enrique. You're the guest. Let's start with you.
All right. So I've been playing a whole lot, even though I have a whole lot to get caught up on.
All right. So, Christian, what have you been playing lately?
That is savage.
He always does that.
Anthony, Enrique, Anthony.
It's all good. Yeah, so I've been playing Titanfall 2, and a little bit of Skyrim Special Edition, but that's been pretty much it for the most part. I've only scratched the surface of the Titanfall 2 campaign, but I like it so far. I did realize I realized though yesterday, I learned this lesson the hard way, that I can't have a few drinks and try parkouring because it just doesn't work for me. Just
Does
not
it
a good
work for
thing.
you when you haven't had a few drinks?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
When I haven't had drinks, yes, it does. But I was doing on Titanfall. I kept like dying. I'm like, what is wrong? What is going on? And I realized too many drinks. But
They make the point that you have to jump at too is like really narrow. You really got to get right to that edge before you make some of those jumps.
You do, yeah, you do. So, so I've been playing that. I was a little skeptical about the Titanfall 2 campaign, but I've really enjoyed it so far, and I understand that it's been getting some pretty good some reviews. Have had a lot of positive things to say about the campaign, so I'm enjoying it so far. I did a 45-minute hour stream of it yesterday, so that's pretty much it in terms of what I'm playing right now.
Nice. And Christian, are you playing anything other than Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter?
Nope.
All right. So Digital Syrup.
No, the one thing I still gotta say, I found that as you know, we've talked before. I have sleep problems and problems going to sleep, and I've tried drugs and I've tried everything, but I've fully decided that min-maxing your armor in Fallout 4 is the perfect sedative to just knock you the hell out. At least 3 times this week, I've woken up in the morning, staring with a controller in my hand, staring at the TV at my armor layout, trying to min-max it all out. And so, yeah, I still really haven't done much at all.
When's the last time you left Sanctuary?
I went on a mission to do so. I know what I was doing, but I got a bunch of armor stuff, and then I've been in Sanctuary all week working on my armor. So.
You know what though? It's easy to get stuck there. You start building like you start building up the neighborhood, putting up the fences, and
oh, dude, it's nuts.
on.
I would have spent at least I'm gonna say probably over 50 hours.
Oh, well, then I got to get into my buddy. My buddy that's on the he's a CD on the Friday the 13th game. He got into the robot DLC and built this sweet ass robot. So
the Automatron DLC.
Yeah, now I got to start building robots too. It's like I'm never gonna get anything done.
Nice.
So yeah,
He's never leaving Sanctuary. He's gonna be like playing Fallout 4 in 2046. He's like, nope, still haven't left Sanctuary.
Still in Sanctuary.
just need some more generators. No, darn it! Need more power.
Oh dear.
That's hilarious.
Julius, what have you been playing apart from Halo 5?
I have been. Hey, yeah. For once, I have had a game that's taken me away from Halo 5, and I've been playing the hell out of Battlefield 1. Sorry, and
Are you sure?
It is. I can't describe how I felt playing through the first 3 levels of the campaign. When they were listing off like Canadian soldiers and like these people that died and how you play through the tutorial, and it's like, okay, you play as this person, you play as that person, this is dedicated to so and so. I'm like, man, this is such a great homage, and the environment is so immersive that when you're playing through some of the close quarter stuff and you're running around with people and people are like bayoneting people beside you, and like there's a guy getting meleeed in the trench, and you're like, oh my god, and then this bomber comes and there's like grenades dropping out of nowhere, and you're dead, and you're like, oh my god, like if this was real life, I wouldn't be respawning right now. And this is what a lot of people go through, and I can understand how how traumatic and how heroic these people are. So props to all of our veterans, man. Like you do things that I would never do in real life, but I would do the hell in a video game.
And you can tell which soldiers in that game are Canadian because every time they died, they would say, "Pardon me."
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
That is so savage.
Or identify the French because they're the ones running away. No, I'm kidding.
Some excuse.
Bella, that is
Too soon.
too savage.
I'm completely joking, FYI. Please, no French people take offense to that. I love profiteroles.
Julius, I was pleasantly surprised by how well the campaign was.
Oh, it's crazy. Like the amount of detail. I mean, even just graphically. I mean, you pan through, and it's like, man, this rock, and this bush, and this, and everything environmentally. All the textures are extremely well done.
The lighting's amazing.
Yes, the lighting's amazing. And the lighting has actually caused me to die a few times because you're panning around and you're like, the sun's in your face and you're like, oh crap, I can't see anything. And then all of a sudden you get sniped in the head. It's like, oh man, you know what? It's awesome.
I would honestly pay for DLC to have more single player campaign. Like the whole Lawrence of Arabia storyline, I want more of that. That was incredible.
Oh, yeah. freaking horses and getting mowed down. It's the worst.
I haven't played Battlefield 1 yet, and I hear that there is it is a little bit graphic as far as the horses dying goes. Is that right?
I mean, their heads aren't flying off, but I mean, it's yeah. I mean, they're getting.
It's a horse dying. Like it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You see, no, I don't know how well I would go
This is
with
a game where
that,
people die of like mustard gas and getting bayonets to their neck and getting their like.
I'm totally fine with all that, but when it comes to the horse dying, that's where I draw the line.
Hey, Bella, you know they're not real, right?
Doesn't matter.
Bella's just video game.
Hey, Christian, you know how I said earlier that you were the only one that wasn't in trouble with me yet?
They're procedurally generated.
I told you I was working
made the list.
Yeah. Bloody in the doghouse. Okay, so Anthony, what have you been playing apart from teasing people about Walking Dead?
Battlefield 1. It's incredible. Like it really, really is. And I didn't want to like it as much as I did. I wanted to get more into other games, but when I played it, graphically it blew me away. Like it just looks like a very, very next gen game. And the controls felt very, very comfortable. I think this is the most accessible Battlefield game I've played in a long time.
Yes,
the vehicles felt easy to play. Unlike Battlefield 4 where things were super complicated, this is very stripped down, very easy. And it really puts me in that mind frame of World War One. And maybe it's because there hasn't been many AAA World War One games lately. Everything's been either modern or like crazy futuristic. That this is just refreshing. Like people forget sometimes that they like these genres because they've just been like bombarded with it year after year after year that it gets numb, right? People forget that they miss these type of games. I personally hate pumpkin flavored anything. I hate it. But it only comes out once a year, right? So those pumpkin spice lattes in Starbucks.
Oh, those are so good.
I get them every year, but I hate them. But here's the thing: I forget that I hate them because for the rest of the year, having regular lattes, regular this and regular that, then all of a sudden for a couple of months, pumpkin spice. I'm like, oh, sweet pumpkin spice! I haven't had this in forever. And I take a sip, like, damn it, I hate this thing. But I don't care because again, it's new to me, right? Playing this World War I game was like this brand new feeling of, oh man, I missed this. That's right. I did used to enjoy this. I remember playing these games back on PC when they were first out, right? I used to love these games. So just coming back here, it feels refreshing. And remember the first, I think it was Medal of Honor, where they had the beaches in Normandy when that first came out. I think it was
yes.
Yeah,
and the guy throwing up.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're underwater and you see your comrades like getting shot underwater and they're drowning and you pop up and stuff like
the water.
Looking back at it, that game hasn't aged well. But at the time, that was like the most intense thing I had ever seen. I was like, oh my goodness, this is incredible.
And that's how I felt playing Battlefield 1.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I feel that way about that, right? And I haven't felt this way about a World War One game or World War II game since that that I think it was Medal of Honor. So kudos to EA for putting it out there because I bought this and Titanfall and I'm not playing any Titanfall. Like to me, it was just a waste of money. Like I might not even play it. To be honest, I might not even play it. I might just have it. And I'll just buy all the DLC and never play it. That's a possibility. Because right now I'm really into Battlefield.
Hey, at least the DLC is free, right?
Can you build your own armor in Battlefield 1? Is that a thing?
No, unfortunately.
No.
Oh, never mind.
Oh,
you want your Iron Man suit?
You can put together
a
plot.
time going nowhere and doing nothing but building. I'm out. All right, well, that was really heartfelt. Thanks for that, Anthony.
Yeah, I might have to check it out.
That was a golden gay time we just had.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so what have I been playing? I've been playing Gears of War 4, absolutely loving the campaign. I had an emotional reaction to the way that they tied in, and I'll try and be careful not to give any spoilers here for anyone who hasn't played the campaign yet. But the way that they managed to tie in this new installment in the franchise made by a new development studio and tie it back into the Gears franchise they did a brilliant job of it. I got
tiptoe
all
on
choked
those
up and
spoilers.
stuff. No, that's not a spoiler at all.
I haven't even played the campaign.
That is not a spoiler at all, trust me.
I haven't played it yet, and I have some friends that worked on it, but I can pretty much guess what the spoiler is in regards to a certain character.
I'm not going to say anything about anything that's a spoiler. So I've thoroughly enjoyed. Actually, I haven't even finished the campaign yet. So the portion of it that I've played so far, I'm really, really, really enjoying it. As well as Titanfall 2. Again, I generally tend to start off with the campaigns because I want to get that connection with the characters. Really feel like I understand the lore behind the game, particularly being the first time that we've had a campaign with Titanfall. It was really important for me to get in there, learn the backstory behind these characters, and feel a connection to the game emotionally, not just because it's fun. The Titanfall 2 campaign has not let me down. I went in with low expectations, and so far I've been absolutely amazed. I'm really having a good time with it. On PlayStation 4, I've played a little bit of The Witcher this week, but not much. And the thing
How far
with
are you into The Witcher?
The game's so
I'm
good.
not very far at all.
It's a really good game.
It is really good.
Yeah, that's my concern, right? Is that, so for example, with Fallout 4, I've sunk like 400 hours into Fallout 4, and I still haven't finished the storyline. And that's what scares me about The Witcher. I'm worried about spending any large block of time.
Spend some time with it, because I swear to goodness, like you'll thank me later. It is such a great game. Everything about it is really smooth. And those developers at CD Projekt Red, they're amazing. Their business model is great. The amount of free content they put out is amazing. I really want to support those guys. And you're how far? You're not too far into it. Maybe an hour or two.
Oh no, a few hours in, but it's because I played in small blocks that I
have you left the first town? Have you left the first town already? The first little.
Yeah.
Basically, the intro. You've already left there. Okay, so I'm gonna be very careful with spoilers. But Glenn dies.
Oh.
Oh my god. Anyway, the reason I'm playing it in such small blocks at a time is I know if I sit down and play for like 2-3 hours in one hit, that's it. I'm the type of person that will just get hooked and that'll be it. I won't be playing anything else but The Witcher. So I'm enjoying it in short portions so that I can still continue to play other games. But on the PS4, apart from that, if we move to PSVR, I played a lot of the games that came out on release, and the ones that have actually kept my attention, that have kept me coming back, there's 3 of them really. The rest of them, you have these little experiences, and then you're like, oh, that was cool, and then you move on from it. One that I played that I am thoroughly disappointed that I paid full price for was Drive Club VR. It's just not good. Riggs, Eve Valkyrie, and Until Dawn Rush of Blood. Those are 3 games in PSVR that are just amazing. Like, no matter how much you get used to the jump scares in Until Dawn Rush of Blood, they still manage to catch you. It's really good. Like, I love it, particularly at night. Eve Valkyrie is just an amazing experience, being able to fly around in outer space and do dog fights, and it's insane. And they've done such a great job of working with the resolution restrictions on the device so that you don't really see it. So that game, it's taking a lot of my time up. And
you pretty much have all the main VR titles currently right now, like the big ones, correct?
Yeah, the majority of them.
The majority of them, right? I think I fall into the category that most gamers are falling into right now when it comes to VR, and that's I'm waiting for Brazzers to release a title, and then maybe I'd be interested.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my
God!
Oh.
That's hilarious.
Oh dear.
Oh my God! Hey, if that industry supports VR, it's going to succeed.
They do. I mean, I've heard.
Yeah, actually, they had a presence at E3.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Naughty America. Is that what it's called?
That's them. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
them.
I only know that because someone told me he went to E3.
Actually, Christian, didn't you stop past that booth?
Which one?
Naughty
Naughty
America.
America?
Oh, you stuck around for like 2 minutes.
I watched people using it. It was
What?
I mean, these people.
So you like to watch, eh, Christian? That's your whole game, man.
That's what I was thinking.
I was showing,
You guys go ahead. I'm just gonna stand here and watch.
I was
Don't
showing
let me
Hotel
stop you.
Blind, I was showing Hotel Blind just down like 2
I'm
rows at
crying.
E3, and so I walk over there, and there's this guy, and there's a big line of it's all dudes, and this guy's got the headset on, and he's like acting out the motions of whatever he's seeing, and I'm like I don't even like to watch. I don't like to be in a movie theater when a sex scene comes on in a movie, and I couldn't imagine like strapping this thing on and actively watching what they were watching with all those sweaty dudes around.
Could you imagine if it wasn't sex? If it was actually something completely unrelated to it? He's like, the stupid light switch just won't work. I have to keep clicking this damn thing. Gosh, who built this house?
But it wasn't just his hands. He had his whole body was into it. Like he's like, just go. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
He was like on the other side.
People are filming you right now. Like it was terrible.
People don't care at all. They have zero cares in the world. What people think they're just gonna do their own thing.
I just went back and put my blind game on better, and I felt better about myself. So.
My God, Jesus, that's funny.
I was literally at a earlier today. I was at a Subway, and I like custom subs, so I get my own toppings. Like I use their subs as a base, and then I just add other toppings on it. And there was a heavy set in person behind me. It was this dude. He was kind of a bigger guy, and he was listening to the sub that I was creating, and I could just kind of feel that he was like getting really, really turned on by this.
He was taking
And
notes.
I swear to goodness, like when it came down to the end of like I got all my major toppings, and now I'm just picking the sauces. I picked my sauces, and I picked pepper, and I could hear him whisper salt. And I said no salt, and I just heard him go a sigh of disappointment. I turned him on just enough to get started, and I just didn't finish him off. I just left him out to dry.
Banana peppers.
You have to pay for that paywall, sir. You have to pay for that, sir.
Yeah, that's a microtransaction.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
goodness. Okay, so
Fresh bread.
getting back on topic, Rigs is my favorite game on PSVR at the moment. That's the one that's taking up the most amount of my time. I believe that is going to be the future direction of esports gaming. And I believe that so intensely that
Bella,
I've
do you have
actually...
Thumper?
Pardon?
Do you have Thumper on PlayStation VR?
I thought you were talking about the rabbit from, like, Snow White.
I thought you said plumper like in the magazines.
Oh,
Oh my God.
We're still talking about magazines, right?
no, I don't have Thumper.
Oh my God.
What's that one about? Because I haven't looked into it yet.
No.
It's like Zoo.
No, it's like
No, not the magazine, the goddamn video
No,
game.
it's
Keep
I
this
don't even
shit
know how
on
to describe
track,
it.
people, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
No,
it's-
there's younger people listening to this podcast. You don't have to swear and just ruin it for the rest of us.
I didn't swear.
It's like a rhythm game. I don't know. You have to watch. It's really trippy, but it got some pretty good reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's called Thumper. It's on PlayStation VR.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Yeah, no, definitely check it out. Like IGN really gave it a positive review.
It's a rhythm game.
Yeah, it's a rhythm game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a. Yeah, it is a game. I mean, it's not. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm white. Am I going to be able to be good at this game?
Oh
It is
yeah.
trippy.
Yeah, it's really trippy looking. Yeah, from what I've seen, it's really trippy.
You think white people ask themselves that question when they pick up a copy of like the NBA games? Hey, I'm white. Am I going to be good at this?
Oh, they pick up like Tiger Woods golf. I must be good at this.
All I'm saying is that we don't tend to be the most reasonable people on the planet. Anyway, Riggs is where it's at. I'm actually in the process of doing an interview with the developers for Riggs at the moment. So
Nice.
you guys will be able to catch that on the RGM website within the next week or two. And just hear where they feel like they're going to be taking the direction of this game and where they're going to be putting a focus for, just the esports element of the game. So,
Bella, do you have Res? Did you pick that up too?
yes. Oh, my God.
I heard that
yes.
is so good. Res by
Yeah,
itself.
I heard
is
that's
good,
really good. Yeah.
but I
heard
can't
that's
imagine VR.
Dude, it's like I was telling you yesterday, like, there's a part. The funny thing about VR is that the way that they use the sounds in the game is that they can actually almost create physical feeling as well. So I could almost, when I could hear somebody standing behind me in the dark breathing, I felt like I could feel the breath on my neck. It made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. My entire body started to shiver. It's insane.
Yeah, I think that's
so
one of the
good.
things about VR that people don't take into account is just the 3D positional sound and how it can affect gameplay.
Yeah.
It makes a massive difference. So that's PSVR. On PC, the only thing that I played a little bit of this week is Epsilon, actually. Christian, I went back and played a bit of that the other day.
I heard that was pretty good.
I heard it's okay.
Yeah, it's got a 9 out of 10.
Apparently, it's too pretty to be an indie game, though.
Yeah, it's too AAA.
Too
And
AAA.
$7.99. I mean, $7.99. Geez, priced out of this world.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, you can find it if you go search Epsilon on Steam for $7.99 US in early access.
Yeah, you can give us your opinion. Is it too pretty to be an indie game? Just a little plug for our studio there. So on PS Vita, I've been playing more of Telltale's The Walking Dead. I'm nearly through the end of season 1. That is amazing, by the way. I have to say, if you have not played The Walking Dead Telltale's version, so good. Go and get it. You need that in your life. And usually I have a game to add into the mobile section of it, and it's usually Pokemon, but I haven't been playing any of it this week, which is surprising. I think maybe, I don't know, I might be a bit over it. So before we move on to the next thing, we're going to do the next giveaway because we've got too many and we haven't given away enough yet. So the next code that's being given away is for a copy of Dance Central on the Xbox One, and it is going to Dylan Moraes. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Please send me a DM on Twitter. Now, Arato actually asked a question in the chat earlier, and I'm going to add this into the rotation because I think it's actually a really interesting conversation point and something that a lot of gamers would be really, quite keen to hear what we think about this. So his question is, I would love to hear your guys' sincere opinions about buying Dishonored 2 versus buying Final Fantasy 15.
Those are two completely different games. That's unfair.
Yeah. That's weird.
That's a very weird question. That's they play different. They're different genres. There's nothing similar to them.
I think the reason that he's asked this question, though, is the release dates are at the same time. And so he's obviously going, well, I can only get one. Which one should I get?
Yeah, so it depends on your playstyle. If you're looking for a game that's going to give you a lot of replayability, then Final Fantasy is probably going to be that. It's going to be a longer game for sure. There's going to be a lot more hours invested into that game. That being said, I love the world and the story of Dishonored. I love the first one. I played that. I played it multiple times. I enjoyed the powers, and graphically, the sequel looks really, really good. If they make the animations a little less janky, a bit more smoother, it could be amazing. But Final Fantasy is going to be the game where if you like Final Fantasy games, there's no reason why you shouldn't pick Final Fantasy over Dishonored, because Final Fantasy is going to give you more bang for your buck if that's what you're looking for.
And see, I think that's the exact reason why he asked that question, to get that kind of detail out of a gamer who is a career gamer who knows both franchises and was able to vocabularize that as well as what you just did.
That's the correct answer.
Say, it's very important. I have friends on Dishonored 2, and I don't have any friends that worked on Final Fantasy, so you should buy Dishonored 2.
I'm getting both.
What's going on, bro? I thought we were cool, bro. Thought we were on the same team there, bro. What's up with that? Friggin' some new guy comes along to this podcast and all of a sudden you're Mr. Neutral?
The Inglorious Neutrals strike again.
The Glorious Neutrals have struck again.
Yeah. Okay, so that answers that question for you, Otto. I hope that gives you the information you were after on that one. Now, before we move on, we're going to quickly do another giveaway. We have Max Curse of the Brotherhood. Yes, that's what it is. Yes. Max Curse of the Brotherhood going
I thought that was his name. I was like, holy crap, his name is Max Curse? Wow.
Actually, I have a friend whose name is Max Payne. How cool is that?
I love
his name is actually Max Payne. His parents were geniuses.
I love Max.
You ever seen the movie Office Space where the guy was, your name is Michael Bolton?
Yeah.
Like, what if this guy hates that franchise? He's just like, yes, I'm that guy. All his gamer friends love it, and he has to be like, oh, wow, you must really love it.
Yeah.
Such a
the draw card with the ladies.
Too bad the movie was terrible.
Yes, true. Okay, so Max Curse of the Brotherhood goes to, I'm being told, Samuel Tolbert. So congrats, Samuel. If you could please send me a DM on Twitter and we'll get that across to you.
Oh, that's Sam.
Oh, that's Sam.
That's Sam. Yeah, Sam, co-host. Yeah, co-host of Basement Movie Arcade.
Well done, Sam. That's Sam.
That is so cool.
Enjoy your free prize. And make sure you follow us on Twitter and check us out on Tinder.
Oh, he's really good at this. I knew I brought you along for something.
That's what we say, right? That's our slogan.
Actually, I don't do the drum up of follows and stuff like that. If people want to follow, they can follow and like and subscribe and all that crap. But you did a really good job of that. Right. I appreciate that. Yeah.
If you don't follow, I'll come to your workplace drunk and hit on your boss.
You wouldn't want to come in. You wouldn't want to come to my workplace and hit on my boss, because at the moment my workplace is my house and I am my boss. So you wouldn't want to do that.
Nope.
Anyway, moving on to things of importance.
Oh my god! I just saw that Donald Trump avatar he has. Holy shit!
I know. Like he just does something every week to just like, right, how can I get under Bella's skin without even opening my mouth?
I'm just expressing my freedoms in a free world.
Seriously, I'm in tears right now. That is the funniest thing I've seen in a long time. Oh my god.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the next subject matter now. We have a topic for conversation now as opposed to a piece of news that we're going to discuss. And our topic that we're going to be talking about, which is something that actually really does fit in with a few things we've been discussing already, is, are gamers becoming a bit fatigued by shooters?
Yes.
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 Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
That's it. Just yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yes.
Yes. Moving on. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, that was insightful. Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
All right. In that case, moving right along. Why is there so much of a focus on power and graphics in games, but not as much on better games and gameplay experiences?
Because most people can't separate the two.
Yeah. Fanboys are dumb.
It's easy to put a high-res screenshot or a high-res trailer in a 30-second clip, and it's hard to explain immersive, expansive gameplay.
Also, because look at all the money that developers are putting into graphics for games now, right? To put out a game there that's AAA, that has amazing gameplay, but lackluster graphics for a full-price AAA game, people they'll have a hard time accepting it. I'm not saying they won't accept it, but they have a harder time because it's moving backwards. It's not progressive. It makes no sense. It's the exact same reason why the Wii U suffered, because when it was released, visually, graphically, it couldn't compete. It couldn't even be in the same league as Xbox or PlayStation. So people were like, "What is this?" Right? It's the same thing. If I'm paying full price for a game, I expect certain things at this day and age. If you can't deliver those certain things, I feel gypped.
But I don't think this is anything new. I mean, geez, since I've been gaming 30 years, the focus has always been on visuals first because it's the easiest thing to show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the obvious, you know?
Yeah. I think the visuals really drive your early sales. that's where you get, especially if you look, like, to me, a game that really stands out for this is Ryse, where you had this game that was just visually stunning, but to me, at least, it was like after an hour, I was like, okay, I'm just clicking buttons and watching a movie. Like, this is
right. But that was the point of that game, though. That was a demo game to demo the capabilities at the time of the Xbox One. It was a launch title game that just was there to show off the pretty graphics,
which
right?
just had to play like God of War.
Yeah, but it had a huge amount of hype. Like, it was super hyped. Whereas,
but only because it was a launch title. If that game released now, there'd be minimal hype to it.
Oh, I agree. But well, then you see something like Dark Souls, which maybe is more, the graphics weren't as nice, but it had legs, right? And it outsold Ryse, I'm sure, quite a bit. And so,
but again, but that's a hardcore niche fan base that they capitalized on.
True, definitely.
Like, they really capitalized that, right? Like, Ryse wasn't a niche fan base. Ryse was like an everyone fan base that they wanted, right? Like, they wanted that to be like the next God of War. They wanted that to be the next hack and slash. This is awesome. They wanted a franchise out of that. There is no developer out there right now that's making big AAA games that's looking to make a one-off title, which means I'm going to release this game called Harold the Duck and no sequels ever.
Oh, no.
Everything is planned for a sequel now, right? So there was when Ryse underperformed, it was just like, well, yeah, because it was a limited. I'll put it to you this way: I played the wrestling games, so I'm a huge wrestling mark. I love wrestling games. They have one thing in there now that I've always wanted, and that's the ability in their universe mode where you can kind of simulate your own seasons. You can have promos, so you can get your wrestler out in the ring, and you can actually pick multiple dialogue options to do a promo. And other wrestlers can, come out in the ring, interact with you, and you can have a promo with the wrestler, which is amazing. I've always wanted that. There's zero dialogue. There's no audio. Your lips are moving, and you just pick the dialogue, and that's it, right? It's like old school computer games where there's just no dialogue, or those Civ games where they go, burr, 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 but there's nothing being said, right? Do you know how many people I hear all the time complain, oh, it's so cheap, why couldn't they get a voice actor? I'm like, you ingrateful jerks. This is a feature that has been needed for so long. Think of all the gameplay possibilities. Now the fact that we're including dialogue or just like written dialogue out there for you to choose in terms of like, where to progress your story or your character. You can create a story that way now. Properly. Legitimately create a story by doing this. And it's not good enough for some people because there's no dialogue in it. And I can't even blame those people because we've been spoiled. We've been spoiled with games like Mass Effect, with games like Fallout. We've just been spoiled to that. We expect this to happen.
But why would anyone expect that in a wrestling game, though? Like at the same level as Mass Effect. Like what you just said, I'm like, oh my god, that sounds incredible.
It is. It really is. It's the first time, so it's not like it's not completely fleshed out, and it's not the most detailed as I would have wanted. But still, for a first thing, I'm already looking forward to next year based on them improving this one little feature.
These people have never played that pro wrestling game on the NES with Starman. So
was it Fire Pro Wrestling?
I forget what. No, I think it was Pro Wrestling All Stars or something. It's an old game. It came out like in '87.
Oh, it probably wasn't WrestleMania.
Oh no! It didn't have any like it wasn't a licensed wrestling game.
Yeah.
It had like made up characters, Starman.
But still though, like my point is they made this one thing that made this game really, really good and unique because no other game had that, but it still wasn't good enough for people. It still wasn't. And that's the mentality most gamers have, and I can't blame them because they are spending top dollar getting these big blockbuster games, and people's expectations are always going to go up, not backwards, but up. And if you don't meet those expectations, they go elsewhere.
Well, and one of the challenges with that is top dollar hasn't changed, right? I mean, games, the price of AAA games hasn't changed with inflation. You're still getting the same. They
did go up though. They used to be $59 here. Now the average price per game is $69 to $79.
Really?
Here in Canada. A couple years ago, if you go to like a Walmart or like a EB, it was $59.99. Nowadays, most titles that are brand new, like a Titanfall, a Battlefield, a Call of Duty, an Uncharted, a God of War, whatever, I see them for $69 to $79. It's very rare that I see a couple $59.
Fair enough.
Good to know.
I go to Best Buy now. I pay $48.
You're right.
American?
That's a big difference.
Yeah, American. Yeah.
Yeah. So $40 American is basically like 70 some odd dollars Canadian, 70 to 60, right? So it's still on point. Like it's not that far of a spread. It's just with the currency conversion, right? Games have gone up in price, and again, like people's expectations always go up, and a lot of that's on the developers too for overhyping their games and overpromising their games. Freaking Sean Murray with No Man's Sky is a wonderful example of what not to do. How not to promote your game. Because where are they now? Under all their criticisms, under all of their accusations, they're just gone.
They're rich.
They're gone.
They're counting money.
Yeah. So again, that is a story of how not to promote your game, how to lose goodwill with gamers. All those people that love No Man's Sky were bashing Xbox because, PlayStation has this and we're going to be better, blah, blah, blah. I don't hear them on their pro, No Man's Sky rallies anymore. Those died down. Now they just want questions answered because they're fed up because the guys that made their games that didn't deliver on those promises aren't saying anything. It's the weirdest thing I've seen in a long time. Like, it is very, very bizarre what's going on over there.
By the way, real quick, really random. The NES game that I was talking about, the wrestling game, was just called Pro Wrestling. That was it.
That's a great game. Great game.
Yeah, it was really good.
This was back when games were just called golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah, Paperboy for Atari. It was just called football.
Yeah, it came out in 1987. It was such a great game, though.
Speaking about stuff that's random, the conversation has just turned in the chat to how much people love Halo Reach.
Oh!
I wonder if they realize that we have one of the game designers that worked on Halo Reach with us here right now, Mr. Christian Allen.
Reach is good.
If they don't know who I am, then they should. Because I'm Christian Allen.
Who worked on Sword Base? Who designed Sword Base?
Sword Base was I think that was I think that was Carney. Or maybe it was I think it might have been Chris Koptal.
Because that is that is the best level in that whole game.
Yeah, Sword Base was designed originally as a single player, level for the mission, where you go in and the whole fake wall thing, and that made the stands, and you go in and go underneath it, and Cortana and all that fun stuff. But yeah, Sword Base was a cool mission.
Yeah, look at all these developers talking about their like, you might have made that game, but I blogged about it. So whatever.
Well, Halo Reach trivia, the focus rifle, which I originally prototyped, was nicknamed the Purple Pea Gun, because it shot a purple beam, and Bungie has a unique sense of humor.
This is another example of developers were right the first time. Should have kept that title.
I just thought it was funny that there were a few people that have obviously come into this podcast partway through it, and so would have missed the introductions and didn't know that Christian Allen was here, and now the conversation's turned to Halo Reach and how much everybody's loving it. I'm like, oh, it's really cute. So we are going to do another giveaway because we need to get these games out. So what I'm going to do, because we're about to wrap up and we still have a lot of codes left to give, is the next person's going to win a copy of Assassin's Creed Unity on the Xbox One, Dance Central Spotlight on the Xbox One, and Max Curse of the Brotherhood on the 360.
That's like 3 games.
That's 3 games. The next winner wins 3 games. And that winner is
3.
That's 3. The winner is Dean M78. Please send me a tweet or a message on Twitter so that I can get those codes out to you.
Now I think that's
all those games.
That's good, because Dean just said Reach was better than Halo 4 and 5, so that's why he gets the games, right?
No, I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at my phone that gives me the name of the person who's won it. All right, so that we're getting close to conclusion here. What we're going to do is just ask if there's anybody in the chat section that wants to put forward a question. In the meantime, while people are putting up any questions that they may have for you guys, is there anything else that's happened in the gaming world this week that you'd like to discuss?
Send us your questions. No dick pics.
Oh my gosh.
And if you must, send them to Anthony.
Oh.
Oh.
Golden gay time.
It's a great ice cream. It really is. All right, so
Someone has a question in the live chat.
Rap has a question. Has anyone played Dragon Quest Builders?
That sounds like a no.
Yeah, that was a great question, Brap. Thank you.
My
Way to
pleasure.
waste everyone's time.
My
Rap.
pleasure.
So do you guys think that Steam requiring the in-game screenshots is appropriate?
I heard
Ooh.
something about this. What's changed? Because I thought they always did. I mean, I've never used anything besides in-game screenshots on my Steam pages, and they approve all those shots that go into your thing. So I just, maybe I'm stupid and I just assumed that we were required to do it, and I should have been making fake ones all this time.
I'd like to know what titles that we're using, like fake ones.
Well,
Yeah, like who's using this?
It depends on how you define screenshots. Like for a lot of games, you'll do what's called it's still a screenshot. A lot of games, what they'll do is they'll layer assets. So they'll have posed character models in a scene, and they'll layer them into the actual an environmental shot, and basically Photoshop together a scene and release it as a screenshot. That's pretty common. And where you get in trouble is with things like Alien Colonial Marines, which when your final screenshots don't look like anything like the screenshots you released.
Their final game looked nothing like the thing they released.
Yeah, that's
a ridiculous outrage.
That's what I meant. Or what they'll do is they'll make static scenes. Like they'll say this is an in-engine shot, but the in-engine shot is a static scene in-engine with everything cranked up to the max without the game actually running. It's like freeze frame. So if you just hit play, it'd run at like 5 frames a second, but it's still technically in-engine.
So you're saying it's fraudulent if they do something like that, like make their pictures more prettier than what their picture actually is?
Well, it can be. I mean, I've done it. Because
if that's the case, I'm going back to Tinder and complaining a lot.
on Epsilon, a lot of the shots on the page are taken. They're in engine, but to get the shot, I basically freeze the game. I move the camera around to the right place that I want it to be. The guys are all in a frozen animation station, so that I can get the angle that I want. But I don't crank up the visuals to something that's unrealistic to run at 60 frames a second to take the shot.
Yeah.
So you think it's fraudulent when they do that though? Like that's something that you're against?
Yeah, I mean, so for example, right? If I have a game that's running on Unreal on the PC, and I take the PC shot and crank everything up to max, and it's rendering at 4,000 by blah blah blah, and then layer on and maybe an Xbox UI over the top of it and say, oh, this is our Xbox game, when that it's not going to look like that on Xbox, that's fraudulent. So you have to be careful to always, as a developer, to present things as they're going to be. But of course, marketing wants to touch things up and make them look better, and maybe cover up some anti-aliasing and So
but what if
there's a line?
What if that isn't marketing? Like, what if that actually is the developers still standing behind it? Like after the whole Aliens Colonial Marines thing, because you brought it up here, I don't remember Gearbox saying, "Oh yeah, we messed up." They actually defended their game. They actually stood by that thing.
Yeah, and they got sued over it, I think.
I don't know if it was successful, but people definitely tried because there's like a lot of cases for it.
Yeah, I mean it's especially early on. I mean, like if you go back and look at like the very early GRAW screenshots that were released before it came out, most of those were quote unquote fake. They were layered and put together from various different assets, but the game came out and still looked pretty close to that. So I think it's a line you have to walk. There's a reason that a lot of game companies they show games at videos at E3. They call it targeted gameplay footage or something like that.
I call that the Watch Dogs effect.
Yeah. UB invented the phrase targeted gameplay footage. So it's pretty common, but I'm glad that Steam, I hadn't actually heard this until you guys, until someone asked about it, but it's good because you want consumers, you want to put your best foot forward, but you also don't want to feel, consumers to feel ripped off by fake things.
Yeah.
And that's
always going to be the fine line.
But part of that too needs to go on the gaming sites, because what happens is they just use the images from the press package. They don't go take their own screenshots. And so the gaming sites... Are they allowed to though? If they're doing a review, yeah. But most of them are lazy and they'll just take the press package that they have. That's why you see the same screenshots in, dozens of reviews, because the developers or the publishers specifically will give them a press package. Here's a bunch of high-res screenshots that you can put into your story. You can write your story and just layer in the shots. Actually take their own screenshots. And that's... Could you imagine if
Ubisoft did that for the next Ghost Recon game? For what was it? Whatever it is, like the Wildlands. So instead of just sending them actual pictures of what their game looks like, they just send reviewers a copy of the latest Call of Duty.
We've actually had a statement made in the chat section here where we're in a very unique position to be able to actually answer that question. Christian.
Uh-oh. I'm going to get myself in trouble.
As a developer who worked on Mad Max, according to Serellan Games Go, nobody played that game. Can you clear that up for us?
I played that game. I actually enjoy it. I'll defend you. I enjoy that game. I wish there was a bit more to it in terms of what to do, because it just feels kind of hollow. But visually, I liked it. The melee was cool, and then the real star of that game was driving. I wish there was more of an emphasis on driving than there was to anything else, because the driving was the only thing in that game for me that really held me and made me want to upgrade my car, made me want to go through the grind of the story and all that stuff. All I really cared about was upgrading my Magnus Opus. That was it.
The thing Mad Max kind of fell down a kind of a rabbit hole as far as the marketplace went. The thing that I was proud about Mad Max is Mad Max, if you think about it, Mad Max is it's a movie tie-in game. It's both Mad Max and Shadows of Mordor were originally tied directly to links to releases of the movie.
I take it back. The game sucks.
but the developers, I was on the team that chose Avalanche for Mad Max. And what they did is they basically took Just Cause 2 and shoved and reskinned it to have the Interceptor in there, and that was their demo to us to pitch to be the developer for the game. And I was down in Australia with George Miller, and George Miller had extremely ambitious idea of what this game could be. It was going to originally be, he was doing this similar to what Matrix did. He was going to do an anime thing, and then the video game, and then the movie, and it was going to be this trifecta, and there was a little girl and all sorts of crap. And Avalanche did a good job of stripping out all the non-gameplay crap and just kind of focusing on a cool game. And
I was about to say, did he forget that the Matrix game sucked?
Yeah.
Did he forget that part of his script? This example that we're using, the game was terrible.
Yeah, but George Miller is not a gamer, so he had no concept of that. And some of the people that he had pitching the games to him were kind of showing a rosy picture of what should be. And part of my job was I came in and go, no. You need to focus on the gameplay first and make a cool game. And I think Warner Brothers and Avalanche specifically did a good job with it. I mean, when you compare it to something like, if you compare it to something like the Iron Man game, right?
You know what? I actually enjoyed for what it was, and I got it for half off. So I paid $30 for that thing.
Everybody
I actually enjoyed. Yeah, I actually enjoyed Iron Man 2, not the first one. I thought visually when I saw the screenshots of the first Iron Man, it looked amazing. I was like, oh my goodness, Sega, you made this amazing Iron Man game just from these screenshots of Iron Man flying in the air and how shiny his armor was and the light was reflecting off of it and the explosions look cool. And then you played it and you realized the controls were kind of terrible. The gameplay was very linear. There really wasn't much to do. Moving around wasn't that fun, and aiming and shooting was kind of a chore. So that was terrible. The sequel looked worse. Like the armor looked not as shiny. It looked more scruffy and scruffed up. I don't know how that's even possible, but it looked worse than the first one. But the shooting was better. The flying was better. The levels were more linear to where it just became like a cheap shooter game, like a third-person flying and shooting game. I got it. The only downfall I had with it was there was no online. It was ridiculous. It's a two-player game with zero online capabilities. But for what it was, I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah. That's where Warner Brothers learned their lesson, was from like Watchmen the game and a few other things like that, is that but when the time frame from when a movie, and I know this from working on the masterpiece, which is After Earth, the mobile game, and the Oscar Award winning movie with Will Smith, is that by
you,
the
my
time
friend, have a gift.
by the time that, and it's the only game I worked on where the game got a higher rating than the movie.
Yeah, right.
The time frame from when a movie gets greenlit to when it ships is usually in the 12 to 18 month range, especially if it's a sequel.
I was just thinking of the time frame when a movie gets greenlit and when a game ships and when some guy in Chinese is already making a legal copy of it. It's very, very close. It's very, very neck and neck.
Yeah. And so you just don't have enough time. And that's one of the things that I like with Warner Brothers, with Mad Max and Shadows of Mordor, is that they split off and said, look, we're not going to do a day and date, carbon copy. We're going to make it its own thing and ship a quality title.
Yeah.
And Mordor was really good. It was a very, very good game. I enjoyed it.
So we'll move on to we've got another couple of questions. So we might just do this one last question, because otherwise we were already running over time, gentlemen. But you have our Twitter handle. So if you want to ask us these questions on Twitter so we can follow up with you afterwards, please do. But before we do that last question, I'm going to give away, and let's just do a set of games again. Let's do a copy of Assassin's Creed Unity, a copy of Dance Central Spotlight, and a copy of Max Curse of the Brotherhood to whoever's name gets sent to me.
I don't know if you guys realize this, but we're basically responsible for like 1/3 of Assassin's Creed Unity sales right now.
Well, we have a whole heap of spare codes for these 3 games. I was like, you know what? Let's just get these.
We
codes
have given out more
people.
copies of Assassin's Creed Unity than EB Games or GameStop right now. Like, we're basically the only store that's still giving them away, and people are getting them here. Get your copy of Assassin's Creed Unity, guys.
Hey, it's actually a really good game now that they've done all the updates and fixed the bugs and stuff in it. But anyway, apparently the winner of those 3 codes is Christopher Russell. Congratulations. I didn't have to worry about the pronunciation of that one. Yay.
Big money.
Christopher, if you could please send me a DM. My Twitter handle will be popped in the chat for you in a moment, and I'll get those codes to you after we're finished. So the very last question that we're going to have a look at for the evening before we wrap up is, are there any games that you have played so far this year that you think are a contender for Game of the Year?
Battlefield 1.
It has to be. It just has to be. Even if there was no campaign, the multiplayer is just too ridiculous.
Yep.
I think Fallout 4 should be Game of the Year again.
That's too funny.
Sure.
I'm going to go with Inside.
Inside? Yeah, you think that could actually be a Game of the Year?
It's my Game of the Year so far.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was just the experience. I mean, that game, and I got to be careful because there's people who haven't played it, but who's played it on the panel here?
I played a little bit.
I haven't.
I just want to say that there's a part of the game that will, and I haven't felt this away. And I always look at gaming as and I think we talked about this the other night, Bella, like how gaming is kind of a way to escape and just like, I think you mentioned it too, like kind of become the protagonist. And I mean, that game just sucks you in, and there's no dialogue, and it's you talk to people who've played it, and you get so many different interpretations of what one gamer may experience versus what you experienced. And to me, that's the beauty of the game, and there's one part of the game that literally most people that I've talked to have put their controller down and have just stared at their TV screen and said, "Oh my God, what just happened?"
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's a kind of experience I haven't felt in a long time in gaming, and that's why it's my game of the year so far.
Is it too late to include Uncharted 4?
A little bit.
Is it a little bit too late?
A little bit.
I would put that up there too. I don't think it got enough. I don't think it got enough recognition on its release. I think it was
awesome. Late. I thoroughly enjoyed every minute in that game, and it was
such a great send off. It was such a great emotional storytelling send off to the franchise. If you've played the previous 3 Uncharted games, that is the perfect way. Like, you couldn't write a better send off if you've tried. It's perfect.
It was perfect. The ending there at the end was just perfect.
Well, we are nominating No Man's Sky for multiplayer game of the year, right?
That is
that multiplayer though.
I would nominate No Man's Sky for best pre-order exclusives. Unfortunately, the only person that got those exclusives were Hello Games. They didn't share those other exclusives with the people that bought them.
Oh, I know where the wooden spoon's going to, though. Definitely Call of Duty Infinite Warfare wooden spoon of the year.
I'm
really unimpressed. I'm disgusted at it, and I'm not even going to get into it, because if you allow me to actually get on a rant about why I feel that way about it, we're going to be here for another hour.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that Bella is not real happy with Call of Duty.
No, she's not.
Really not. No, I'm really,
and Bella,
really
you
not.
Such a hard time for dogging Call of Duty.
Well, that was when it was good.
It hasn't been good in a long time.
It had previously been. It's not now, but it had previously been.
Not since, no. My opinion, not since Black Ops, but that's my opinion.
Otherwise, we'll be here for another hour. So far, and this is going to shock a lot of people, I think, but so far, if I'm going to go for the campaign side of thing, a single player experience, a game of the year, I'm absolutely loving the shit out of Gears 4 campaign. Like, it's just so good. So that's right up there for me. But there are a couple of other games that I'm yet to play this year that I really need to get into before I can make my decision on that. One of them being Battlefield 1. There's just so many games, like so many games. I don't even know how I'm going to get through the majority of them. But multiplayer-wise, at the moment, on the top of my list, even though I know it's not going to have any chance of making Game of the Year because it's subjective to people buying a device that is required to play it on. But my Game of the Year so far has been Riggs.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, what I'm actually hoping for is that she'll knock me out of my Fallout funk is Dead Rising 4. I'm really looking forward to Dead Rising 4.
Yeah, and that's because you can craft shit, and you're just going to sit in a room and craft, aren't you?
No, I love Frank. They're bringing Frank back, and it looks like
they're not bringing Frank back though. It's a different voice actor. That's not my Frank.
Oh, really?
It's not that guy.
It kind of ruins it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
It's not Frank. And this is one thing that I will say. I'll make a little cliff note on this here. Video game companies need to give a lot more respect to the voice actors that are designated to fill out their iconic roles, right? Because Master Chief has a sound to it, and if you replace Master Chief, it's not Master Chief. I love Kiefer Sutherland. I love Kiefer Sutherland to death. As a Canadian, he's Jack Bauer, whatever. But there is only one Snake, and it's not him.
It's definitely not him.
Well,
yeah,
we
it's
should
just
say
like every time they change over the Doctor, you know what I mean? You get a new Doctor, and you're just like, no, you are not the Doctor. And I'm not okay with this.
But that's different though, because they actually they acknowledge that it's a new Doctor, right? These are the same characters over and over and over again, but with just different voice actors. And the fact that they're doing this puts very little value on the people that are actually filling out these roles and giving it these lines. Like when I think of Commander Shepard, I think of my Commander Shepard. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's what brings it to life for you. That sparks the nostalgia and the memories and almost that feeling at home when you think about these franchises
guys,
that you love.
David Hayter, Nolan North, they need a lot more. Sam Fisher's. What's his name? Michael Ironside.
Yeah,
these actors. Yeah, they need to have more like that. That's their role. It really is. And if you're gonna take the actor away from that role, it better be a reboot.
Well, I agree.
This is a whole separate discussion in regards to the current strike and what I think about voice acting. We could have a whole 2-hour discussion about this, so I won't weigh in.
I've been there, done that. And when he says he could have a 2-hour discussion with it, like he really means he could have a 2-hour discussion.
Christian, we got to get you back on. We got to get you back on a BRAP again so you can talk about this.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be fun. It's a little politically fraught right now with what's going on with SAG, but I have some opinions. Believe it or not.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Get a couple of beers into him and you'll hear all about them all night long. All right, so that was our last question for the night. So we're going to wrap up. We're going to give away our last 3 set of codes, which takes us to 15 games given away on this podcast tonight. The winner will, again, like the last 2 recipients, receive a copy of Assassin's Creed Unity, a copy of Dance Central Spotlight, and a copy of Mac's Curse of the Brotherhood. And according to a little person that's popped up on my phone and given me the name, the winner is SpongeBoo.
SpongeBoo!
Congratulations.
Unity's going to try.
I was going to say Ubisoft. They're the real winners.
It's like Ubisoft's going to be sitting home like, oh, look at this. Look at this. There's like an influx of people on Assassin's Creed Unity. No,
this
seriously.
Is great.
Look.
The investors are going to be happy.
They're like,
hey, Vivendi will come buy us now.
You mean server?
oh,
Alan, turn on the server. We got guests. Alan's like, what? He's looking for his keys.
He's like, we got to spin up that VM. Oh, man.
Speaking of takeovers, did you guys hear this rumor of EA trying to buy CD Projekt Red?
No.
Yeah, I have.
You've heard? Okay.
I don't. Yeah, they don't need it. CD Projekt Red doesn't need EA. EA needs CD Projekt Red.
I know. That's the thing that scares me. EA would throw money at them, though. But cash.
Just think about this here. I love the Dragon Age franchise, the very first one. I to this day, I still I would love an HD version of that game. I hated the sequel, and I was so with the third one, Inquisition. I would love CD Projekt Red to take over that franchise. Oh my goodness, I would love them to take over that franchise.
There's no financial reason for CD Projekt Red to do it.
That's what I'm saying. They don't need it.
They don't need it.
Yeah, it's very true. This is very true.
Do you think that knowing that, though, the EA would still throw a lot of money at them, though? If this rumor's true?
Why not? You can afford it. Go ahead.
And they could probably afford it.
Sure, go do it.
Look at Sony with Activision and Call of Duty. I mean, you got the money. Why don't chuck it at shit?
I hope it's a rumor. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, same.
They should throw money into other developers that they currently have, like Visceral. Help those guys out.
Yes.
They're a talented bunch of people. Instead of passing this money around to other developers, how about you help the talented ones that you guys already have? BioWare, Visual, DICE. Those are very, very talented people. They're making your games for you. Yeah, you should help those guys out.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. So before we finally actually wrap up for this time, I feel like Enrique on BRAP, like every time he says he's going to wrap up, he never does. Unfortunately, SpongeBoo has kindly let us know that he actually owns all of those games already, which means that one other person in the live chat is going to get those games instead of him. So thank you very much to SpongeBoo for putting that forward and asking for us to give it to other people. And the little name that's just popped up on my phone, or the winner of the final set of 3 games tonight, is Disturbed 19. And if you have all those games, don't tell me. I don't want to know. I want to end this goddamn podcast.
It's too funny.
I'll tell you one game you didn't have for sure, and that's Assassin's Creed Unity.
I think that's a given.
Oh my goodness. All right, so Disturbed, please send me a message on Twitter.
Enjoy your games and follow us on Adult Friend Finder.
I didn't know you were on there.
Is that still around? That's still a thing?
Insane.
It's social media.
I didn't think that was still a thing.
So, let's do our closing.
Ways of Ashley Madison.
Hit me up on ratemyface.com.
You did not just say that. I want to apologize to anybody because I took offense.
Anthony, we got to get you on Brap too, man. You would love our panel.
Anyway, we're doing the wrap ups now. Enrique, would you like to do a little promo of your podcast coming up?
Actually, I would. Thank you. Yeah. So, my name is Enrique. I'm the one of the co-hosts of Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, and we go live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Actually, Bella's going to be joining us this Wednesday. We had Christian on as a guest back in August, I think it was.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and we've had other industry guests. We had Davey Jaffe on, Ryan McCaffrey. We had Craig Kasavin from Supergiant Games. We've had Marcel Hatam from Crytek. And we just a gaming podcast. We just focus on talking about video games. We don't do the fanboy stuff. So if that's your thing, we don't do that. But check us out on YouTube, the Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. Again, we go live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, give us a like, sub, and come check us out this Wednesday.
Indeedy. Christian, would you like to do a little bit of a spiel about some games that you have out with some amazing voice acting in them? I don't know.
Yeah, you can. My name is Christian Allen, game designer extraordinaire. You can follow me on Twitter at Serellan. I put a link in the chat, and you can check us out at www.serellan.com. Our games are on Steam. We have Epsilon, which is a squad-based tactical shooter in early access on Steam for $7.99 US. And I have this awesome game called Hotel Blind, which has some wonderful voice acting by a certain Australian woman who does a great job, where you can use virtual reality to experience a day in the life of a blind person. And we are on the verge of getting permission from This American Life to put the actual story that the game was based on into the game. Woo! And I have we support HTC Vive and Oculus Rift, and I just hopefully today now have OSVR completely 100% working.
Yay, because that thing has been a bitch to get functional.
OSVR right now is you know how when you buy electronics from China and you get the instruction manual and you open it and you can't really understand what the hell's going on? That's kind of what OSVR. I mean, I guess it's open source virtual reality, right? It's going to have some hiccups, but enjoying the hardware so far. But yeah, check it out. It's $1.99 on Steam. If you want to support independent game developers, check it out.
Awesome. Julius, would you like to do the RGM spiel for us, please?
The RGM spiel. Come join us every second Saturday. Are we? We're not doing next Saturday, are we? Next Saturday.
It's good if you actually know the RGM spiel before you spiel it.
Yeah, it does kind of help. I mean, and also fortnightly means 2 weeks.
Yes.
You should never get blindsided by that. You should have that on call.
Oh my god!
All right, let me take over.
Please
visit www.realgamemedia.com for all your gaming news. We have a section set up there for you to check out our podcast. We have regular Twitch streams that we do. There's a lot of community engagements. We have a lot of giveaways going on at the moment. One of them is for a Nintendo Switch. So jump onto the website, check it all out, join up, and enjoy all of the stuff that we bring you like every day. We're bringing a mammoth amount of content to you every day. So be sure to go and check it out.
And if you guys want my latest insight on all the latest videos that are out there right now, check me up on Doomy22 on Pornhub.com.
cannot see my face right now, but it is. I'm disturbed. I'm deeply disturbed.
Yeah, I too do reviews.
Yeah. You get onto that. Send them to Julius. Okay. So on that note, we're gonna wrap up. We're going to thank you all for joining us in the live chat section and being so pleasant. Everybody was so lovely. I'd like to personally apologize for Anthony. And we will be back in 2 weeks' time. So be sure to keep an eye on our Twitter accounts and our YouTube account. We'll have regular content going up. And give us your feedback because we love your feedback and we really love the community engagement. So keep it coming. Thank you, everyone.
See you guys on ICQ.
I'm gonna end this broadcast for something else. Night. This has been another RGM podcast.